Hello and welcome back, everybody, to some more fantastic Overwatch. We got some Contenders trials games going on here today, broadcast by Monkey Bubble. For your casting entertainment, it's going to be me, Sir Waltham, joined by Dryad, of course. We're going to be witnessing VASTA versus Shoes Money Crew. Dryad, how are we feeling?
Yeah, we are feeling very excited for this matchup. It seems like these two teams haven't had the best performance so far in trials, but this is where one of them has to bring it back. They have to have a really good performance, and I'm really excited to see who is going to come up on top.
Couldn't have said it any better myself. Both these teams gonna be looking to pull themselves up out of that lower tier. They're both sitting at not the best score line, so they're going to be looking to get those numbers up, as we say, and hopefully get some action going here as we go ahead and take a little bit of a look as to the map set we can expect to see for today. We're going to be starting on Nepal and moving on to Volskaya and Numbani, favorite of mine, as is necessary. We will be going on to Dorado, Ilios, and then, if we really need a sixth map, Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and also those maps that we really haven't seen as much before are going to be interesting to see how teams decide to adapt to it. I believe Shoes Money Crew should have the better advantage coming into the compositions that they're going to decide to play, but it's not going to be easy for any of them, and I believe this is going to be a really even match for this.
Certainly it seems to be so far. We will just have to see as the numbers shake out. We are going to be heading here to Nepal in a brief moment as everybody gets loaded into the lobby. And Dryad, what do you think we're going to be seeing kind of as the precedent for these compositions moving forward?
Right, it seems like playing in the support line, a lot of Moira and Lucio have been really good, but also every time that we've seen an Ana being played out, it just brings a lot to the table that we haven't seen before. I think this is one of the possibilities. In the meantime, the meta the teams have decided to play has been a lot of that. The dive tank line and a few DPS that change depending on what teams are better at. But in general, when they decide to play a lot of different compositions, like yesterday we had the opportunity to see some teams playing Roadhog, playing Sigma, that challenges the other team to come up with solutions. So I believe this is one of the opportunities the two teams have today, especially looking at Shoes Money Crews, where we saw a lot of changes recently.
And as we will be heading into Nepal after the quick color swap, the color palette change coming through into those nice Contenders colors. As we see them coming online, VASTA going to be in the green, similarly Shoes Money Crew in the white. A little bit of a shame we didn't get to see the Money Crew be in green, but that's just me liking to be thematic here, Dryad. We are seeing these teams line up, and it's looking like the Rhine Zarya to start.
Yeah, those Rhine Star, yeah, we haven't seen that much, but for some specific maps, it just works perfectly. I'm very curious to see how it's going to work out specifically with their Reaper. I believe it's going to be more of a brawly composition that we're expecting from them, and it's going to enable them to create so much damage right at the beginning.
We're going to be seeing Shoes Money Crew get nestled right up onto that point. Fees on the Reaper being that enforcer, making it so deadly for anybody from the side of VASTA to get pushed up and get close in. We see Reinhardt's both trying to swing around this corner, get some early advantage, and they need to be careful on the side of Shoes Money Crew. If Ito does get that turret set up in an advantageous position, it's basically like a seventh man on the field. However, as this fight has gone on long enough, Shoes Money Crew going to be the ones taking first advantage of the point opening. They will be getting that first flip, although no kills really going in either direction. My Monet has to translocate out, are brought dangerously low, and now it's not looking great for VASTA. They need to be a little bit more explosive here, but the Coalescence comes out from Sav. Urki going to be closing the kills as well. Sav just keeping everybody alive and healed up. We'll see if the other supports from the other side can cope with it. Snap going to be throwing in the nano boost onto Nipahawk, who's trying their best to build up that grab early on, so close to it. 1% as a matter of fact, and no, not many members have died so far from either end. The grab will be going in, but the sound barrier is there to respond by Coomer. We're going to be seeing both teams survive pretty much unscathed. The hack onto Hades does make them a little bit more vulnerable. They are able to walk away. And with this Shoes Money Crew still building up a bunch of ult charts. Molten Core going out despite the grab from A10. And now it looks like finally Shoes Money Crew ready to put this fight in their pocket. Hades and Fees both swinging up, trying to get up in their close on the few remaining members, although that Lucio does get away.
Yeah, and that was a really long fight that's going to only benefit Shoes Money Crew. They did an amazing job making the rotation necessary, and they take the advantage. Also, Sab, the coalescence that we see from this player over and over again are just in time, keeping his team alive and also pushing the enemy team to the back. I absolutely love seeing this. This is one of the biggest highlights that this team has going on. And also coming again, they have so many ults to hold the defense here.
Speaking of ultimates, we are going to be seeing that coalescence come on the line to start. Sab throwing it in there, helping their team get that healing, meaning that Reinhardt can swing a little bit more. The Zarya can be a little bit more reserved with the bubbles, and now coming in is looking like Shoes Money Crew good to win this fight as well.
Yeah, we come into this next fight where Shoes Money Crew is looking so good. There's absolutely nothing that VASTA is able to do, and I believe that's because of the long fight that they had at the beginning. They invested a lot, invested in the grabs, which they didn't have after.
Not now, we will be seeing the Wrecking Ball come out onto the field just to try to get there in a quick fashion. The Death Blossom comes in from Fees, drops big, gets one in MVP, meaning that Lucio's speed boost and healing not going to be there. As the ball gets hacked, it looks like it's just about the nail in the coffin for Shoes Money Crew. VASTA now going to be down one.
Right at the beginning, it seemed like these two teams were going to be closer on this map, that we're going to see some variations coming through. But after Shoes Money Crew to control the point, they didn't let it go throughout. And I believe this is a matter of communication coming from VASTA, where they kept investing ults when not the entire of the team was there available to help out. We saw the EMP coming through, we saw the grab, and these are ults that you need to use the rest of your team abilities or everyone to be able to take the rest of the team down. So a lot of things that could have worked better for them, but now coming into, they have a better opportunity. They do need to play a little bit smarter, make sure their rotations are faster than Shoes Money Crew.
As we look ahead, we're going to be seeing the differences come out in these teams, mostly in the tank and DPS line up with one member of support difference as well. Immediately, it's going to be VASTA looking to take that high ground, but they see the composition and they decide they may just want to back off, allow themselves to go back into that spawn and reconsider their composition.
Yeah, you're going to be having the Pharah put out so much damage that there's definitely a few changes that need to be made. Ideally, you're not going to be having anyone who is going to be countering the Pharah directly, so there's going to be a lot of pressure to them to also take down the Mercy.
And once again, it's starting off with Shoes Money Crew getting the early capture onto the point. Fees as well getting an early kill on the snap. A lot of healing gone. It's just going to all be on to MVP. But Erky going to make sure that that's not even relevant as the damage comes in thick with those rockets. Some direct impacts as well. Some splash damage coming in. Ensures that the pressure is kept up on VASTA.
And I'm really surprised that we saw that VASTA had the opportunity to change composition to try to counter the Pharah, yet they kept the composition that doesn't really work to counter this hero, and this is going to be very risky. They decide to keep with it. They can get a few kills with it, but it's going to be more a brawl style that it's intended to run on the earth. It's not really meant for the diva to be diving the Pharah over and over again.
As we look ahead, Shoes Money Crew already has Erky high up into the air with that rocket barrage ready to drop down. It's really going to be on Nipahog here to catch that rocket barrage. We'll see if they can make it happen. Pulse bomb goes out from Feast, doesn't land too much. Erky goes and gets snapped once again. That Moira out of the fight early, but Shoes Money Crew doing the damage they need to on top of that. Erky does go down to some self-damage, but the damage has already been done. Shoes Money Crew going to come out on top once again.
And just coming into this fight on top, they did use that barrage, and it worked so well for them. Once again, I'm surprised we haven't seen the changes. Best opportunity that VASTA is going to be having is that EMP and trying to get the Mercy and the Pharah. That's one way to put them on earth, to try to take them down as fast as they can. But again, not as many opportunities as Shoes Money Crew is going to be having. They're going to be having that nade, that Valkyrie coming through to initiate the fight.
You see Maimone trying to sniff out perhaps where they can drop that EMP, looking for the positionings. Just catches the Winston, but it's going to be Erky receiving a nano boost. That is a huge threat to have to deal with from the side of Shoes Money Crew. The damage is definitely there in droves. Using that concussion blast to get themselves all that much closer to the Sombra, who does have to translocate away. Either way, Shoes Money Crew going to be taking this in a neat 2-0. Overall, looking very dominant so far.
looking really, really strong on every position and every hero that we saw them so far. They had a really good performance, and I believe this is a matter of VASTA not changing, not adapting to counter them, which is something that we see teams, and this is one of the biggest challenges that coaches have. If you have a composition that's really good for your team, it's not always going to work. So are you going to force it, or are you going to change it and adapt to the other team? For VASTA right now, they didn't seem to ever get the grip on any single fight that we saw from them. Actually, for both points that we saw, they went 100 versus 0%. So definitely a lot of discussion that needs to be going on, communication, and the ultimate usage that is so important in this meta.
Absolutely, and as we look ahead, our next map going to be Volskaya Industries, going from the snowy regions of Nepal to, I guess, the snowy regions of Volskaya. So luckily looking to be a little bit happier there. But to your point, Dryad, yeah, I agree that so far it just seems like VASTA hasn't quite clicked yet. I definitely have to say on that first point we saw in Nepal, it definitely looked like they were a little bit anemic on that first fight. They weren't super willing to take it as aggressively as they needed to. Because of that, Choose Money Crew capped it first time and got 50% off the first fight alone. It was a little bit of a misplay.
Yeah, this is not ideal. If you want to keep the fight going, make sure that the percentage is not going to their team, or it's going to be really, really hard to take it back. So that's exactly what we saw. But coming into Volskaya, I do think that VASTA is going to have a better opportunity to try to make that comeback, to look stronger. It can benefit them more. But I believe one of the biggest advantages also that Choose Money Crews has, besides SAP that we already mentioned, is Hades and A10. Is one of the players, is two of the players that we've talked about over and over again. They have a really good performance. The only time that we saw Hades not looking as strong as we wanted to was when this team was going against Oblivione, where the tank line we know is unstoppable. But so far, they've looked really, really good, and it's just going to help them out getting this win today.
Certainly, and now the countdown is going to be underway as these gates about to open up. Choose Money Crew now on the attack. An early anti-nade coming in from Snap, going to be landing on 3, but it's going to be quickly healed up. As we see now Choose Money Crew pushing through this choke slowly. Urki getting the opportunity to go through, do a little bit of infiltration as that Sombra perhaps find the Achilles heel of this composition, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen.
Now, we're very curious to see how the Echo is going to also be working out for VASTA. I did like the changes. We've seen Echo being played a few times. I don't think it's been as successful for any team so far, but it could definitely be for them, creating a lot of space and also having the high ground as well, having that ability that no one else has in the game right now.
VASTA starting off strong, getting a kill onto Hades. That Winston bubble no longer going to be in effect means that VASTA has a little bit in the terms of barrier advantage here, and taking down Saab as well. Not going to be a horrible start for VASTA. They're still maintaining this high ground with IDO. As we see them trying to just frame those shots with Ashe. Eventually, Choose Money Crew is going to take the back step.
And I really do like the high ground position that VASTA decided to take here. We've seen teams being a little bit undecided on where they wanted to hold it, and it doesn't really work out for them. But for now, it's been working so well. Now you're going to see a real fight coming through for Choose Money Crew trying to take it.
He's going to try to wrap around onto this high ground. At least that's what it was looking like with Hades positioning on that Winston. But Ido able to just rotate around and get that repositioning for the Ashe. Able to still get some long-range shots. Gonna get dove upon by Hades and the Tracer, both trying to get the Ashe out of the game. But the D.Va there to ensure that that Ashe stays around for as long as possible. Nipahog trying to play as well as they can. Hades actually getting a nano boost, but taking a little bit of a nap during it. Might be a little bit of an unfortunate opportunity there. And the grab coming in from long for A10 is going to be very costly considering no kills come out the end of it. Nipahog does end up eating the pulse bomb from the side of the Tracer. And with this, Fees creeping around those backlines, trying to find an opening, but eventually it's going to have to be Choose Money Crew going back.
And they really did have an opening there, but unfortunately it was way too late. Now they're going to be taken down one by one like we see with this fight as well. So not ideal, but they still have more than enough time to get up. We know Volskaya is not the best map for a few teams. This might be one of the cases. In the meantime, Choose Money Crew does have a lot of opportunities, that EMP being ideal for them, trying to get a few of the tanks, and also ideally if they can get Echo, that's the way they can push in and they can actually have a fight.
As we look ahead, these creeping around in these side rooms, looking to perhaps go up onto that high ground, force down the Ashe. But we're seeing the duplicate come out from Mimone, gonna be getting that Winston early on. Scouts out Hades in this corner. Hades looking to perhaps make a dive with the rest of their team, but gets caught out. Then the Primal coming is just two raging monkeys, one of which is a Omnic version of that same monkey, but Mimone actually gets the better of Hades, knocking them out with the Primal Rage off into the icy waters of Volskaya. And with that, VASTA looking good to win this fight once again, but now it's going to be Rocket's turn to take a little bit of the knee as FaZe just drills into them with those pulse pistols. The EMP does come out, but it only lands onto two, Nipahog and MVP, who are both taken down in quick fashion. Now the sound barrier in response from Coomer to keep the side of Shoes Money Crew alive. Looks like it's going to pay off for them. Bob does run out onto the field, but not onto the point. Not being contested just means that Bob needs to be dealt with while point progress is being built up, and Shoes Money Crew has it locked in.
They finally get it. They were definitely struggling at the beginning, but once they got the hang of it, once we saw FaZe getting that pick, it enabled the rest of the team to get it. I just also know the highlight that we saw was Coomer getting that boop into the Echo that was about to kill Sap. That helped them so much because if the Ana was going to be taken down, they didn't have the main heals that they needed. Now they just need to worry about the second point, and they're looking pretty good. I feel also are going to be built in the next few seconds. But for this fight, the advantage should definitely go in for VASTA. They're duplicate ready.
We'll have to see if that grab comes into effect, especially as Rocket gets taken down early by A10. A10 has the opportunity to lead in here with the grab, but no Winston to really dome out a lot of damage, and it's exactly what we're going to be seeing. Goes onto the high ground. The Mercy gets tased down by Hades. It's going to force the duplicate out of Mimone just to get the Primal Rage by a little bit of time, but a tick's already been achieved for the side of Shoes Money Crew. VASTA not quite having that point presence that they need. The hack onto Mimone ensures that Primal Rage gets minimal effect, not able to leap with that Winston. More point progress being surrendered by the side of VASTA, and another hack onto the Primal Winston. This time it's going to be Rocket who gets brought down. Now it's looking all great for Shoes Money Crew, despite a little bit of a shaky first attempt.
Yeah, they always have that potential with the ultimates that they were able to build to simply run over second point and get it. That's exactly what we saw. And 2 minutes 14, that looks pretty good on this map. Now I'm very curious to see what VASTA is going to do, what adaptation changes need to be made, and if they're able to get that first point first. That's going to be so important if they're able to engage. And for the defense and the meta that's going on right now, one of the biggest highlights, it's seen the positioning that the teams decide to play on the high ground at the first point. When you're able to make sure that not the entire team is together, but you're also able to dive to your teammates that are a little bit far away, that's going to help you out because it's going to make it dive harder. That's exactly what we saw. That's why it took Shoes Money Crew so long to take the point.
We'll see if they can do a little bit better on their defense here, hopefully for them, holding VASTA at that first point, not letting them get that shot at second, but we will see in about 20 seconds as these rosters are looking to get finalized. We're seeing the Winston Diva versus what might be a Rhine Diva, or the Rhine Diva what might be a Winston Diva. How do you think here, Dryad?
Well, the Rhine being played here, I don't think we've seen it that much before, especially on this meta. I'm very curious to see how it's going to be played out. Basically, they're going to play and force VASTA to get really close to them so they can simply do that, play and put a lot of damage with the Reinhardt and also the Reaper. And that means they have to play very slow at the beginning, which can be risky.
We can see Reinhardt just being a little bit of a shield right now. Hades trying to keep their team alive, does eat an anti-nade, but maintains that shield presence for the rest of their team, holding up on this bunker. Hades eventually going to be dropping off. This is VASTA's opportunity to take some high ground if they so choose. Although we do see that Sombra and Echo still might be creeping around. Rocket perhaps looking for that dive target. The Diva isolated, going to be chased down, and now it's going to be Ido trying to find some value, but the rotation comes through too quick from Shoes Money Crew. Ido not quite able to keep up with that. VASTA does have some point presence. They take out a few members, including the Diva, but it's not going to be enough. VASTA getting hacked out and called out and cut down.
And that was a pretty long fight, but it doesn't look too bad just yet. They have still 4 minutes 55 to try to get this point, and the ultimates that are building are going to help VASTA a lot. That EMP that we always talk about, also the duplicate, should be more than enough for them to take control, but they definitely need to make sure that they're not playing around Choose Money Crew's strategy, which is definitely like we were talking about, doing that brawl where they're going to just go over them and destroy them.
Are seeing the duplicate come out from Maimon onto the Reaper, but it's answered by an EMP from Erky. Doesn't seem to be working for them so far. Maimon creeping up onto these tanks, going to be dropping the Death Blossom. The Diva Matrix coming in to support Nipahog, playing defender once again. Going to be allowing the offense to come through strong, and Maimon now being a little bit of a high-performance player right now. Really looking to cut through that Rhine Shield. It's just the Winston and the Reaper left on point. As the pin comes in, it's going to be landing, but Hades not able to close the kills, and with this, VASTA looks like they have a solid point for one.
VASTA actually looking better in this attack than we saw Choose Money Crew doing. They have a better time, they know how to play more aggressive, and the composition that they're playing also benefiting them so much. Now, the way that they're going to be attacking the second point is going to be about the same like we saw Choose Money Crew doing. They have a lot of ults, they have that EMP that they're going to be using, the Nano also coming through, so a lot of opportunities to win just here.
Seeing Maimon take that off angle, trying to go ocean side. Getting a little bit of an ocean view there. As we see Choose Money Crew, again, dominating this high ground. But the EMP comes out from Ida. Going to be trying to mitigate the abilities from the defensive team right now. And Choose Money Crew looking a little bit crippled on point as that first tick does go in favor of VASTA. We see Ida trying to play on point. He's trying to drop the Death Blossom, but actually doesn't find anything, and because of that, just gets burned down. This is looking great for VASTA. They have an opportunity to make a huge time bank here. The Sound Barrier does come out with the EMP on top of it, the Earth Shatter to match by Hades, but Hades brought to their knees as the Fire Strike goes out. It's looking so far doable for VASTA. They just need to get a few more kills and in quick fashion. The Diva Bomb does come out just to secure this point from Nipahog, and even MVP looking to get in a few slugs as the Wrecking Ball duplicate does come out. Not going to be enough, however, as VASTA Gaming manages to take it 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
VASTA looking really, really good on that second fight. They definitely took the advantage of the old economy that they had going on for them. They used to make sure that they're also protecting their supports and not getting killed. And for Choose Money Crew's side, they were taking the high ground, and when they saw that VASTA was coming through, they didn't seem to know exactly how to engage because they knew they weren't in the best position. So now they have about 1 more minute to try to take the victory here, and I think this could be going for VASTA.
It certainly might be, given the time bank. VASTA has a little bit more time in the time bank to be generous, but as we look here, it's going to be Choose Money Crew starting off on the attack, and it looks like they're not going to be opting for the Reinhardt this time.
And I do like seeing that Reinhardt again. The strategy that they were doing was sort of a bait to force VASTA to really come through and get close to them so they could just play really, really aggressive and get the kills. But I really like Team VASTA knew exactly what was happening and just decided not to do that, not to go with the Reinhardt. In fact, they actually killed him at the end. So not ideal composition if we were to see the Reinhardt again. It could work out, but it was definitely not ideal before.
Looks like Choose Money Crew will not be disappointing. It is going to be the Winston and Diva this time around. We see Erky trying to creep around that ocean side, trying to get an early positioning into some advantageous hacks. Also see Ido trying to scope out any of those chokes, those vulnerabilities that might be presenting themselves from the side of Choose Money Crew. But the dive comes in quickly. Erky does find Mamone and Ido, meaning that there's no DPS lineup for the side of VASTA. It's all going to have to try to be sustained until those DPS players come in. Sleep Dart lands onto A10, but it's not going to seem to be enough as VASTA now suffering for members on the point.
That was a really, really, really good engagement that we saw from Choose Money Crew. They played really aggressive and they get the value out of it, getting those picks at the beginning. And definitely just knowing that they don't have as much time as VASTA had. So now they're going to use the ultimate they're going to deal in the next few seconds and try to get it as soon as they can.
As we see, Choose Money Crew lining up. Not a whole lot of ultimates in the bank to snowball into this next fight. But they're going to be looking to just get themselves collected, get regrouped, and get ready for a solid push. And not a lot of time on the time bank. See them trying to get collected on this elevator area, trying to get up top, but eventually they decide the wraparound might be a little bit more prudent. Still just holding at the spawn, or at the choke rather. It's going to be Monet trying to wrap around, get them from an off angle, and early on it's not the side of VASTA who ends up getting the advantageous kills, but Hades getting snapped, but is traded back with another kill from a Winston onto an Ana. The EMP does come out from Erki, but Erki gonna not be able to capitalize as they have to translocate out. The sound barrier coming in from Coomer, trying to give the team a little bit more damage resistance or a little bit more health pool to survive with. Diva Bomb coming in from Nipahog doesn't land too much. VASTA Gaming now brawling for their life on this point. They don't want to give up that one final tick. They need to maintain point presence, but they don't. In fact, that first tick going to be falling over to Shoes Money Crew. We're now brawling for any more percentage that they can get. The Valkyrie now is going to be coming out from MVP, try to keep this squad alive, but they might be suffering too many losses at this rate. Hades does fall. Rocket going to be brought back up, and the Winston advantage is going to be there for Shoes Money Crew, but the kills need to come in fast for the side of VASTA. If they don't, the respawns will get there for Shoes Money Crew. And that is the exact opposite of what they want to have happen in this situation. The EMP landing big, IDO rather, Monet and MVP all getting hacked out. It's going to be Shoes Money Crew going into overtime, but looking so far so good for this point. They're building it up 90% going in their favor as it ticks up all the way to 100.
And Shoes Money Crew looking so strong at the end. They were struggling a little bit to really get those kills as fast as they would want to, but being able to get the second point completely is just ideal for them. Now they are forced to hold a more dominant defensive position coming through. They have the opportunity to take their victory here, but it's not going to be as easy. I'm wondering if once again we're going to be seeing that Reinhardt, or if they decide to go with the Winston again. Ideally, I would like to see a Winston. I believe it works better for them, and especially on this mirror, they really know how to take the best out of VASTA.
We'll see if VASTA can make it. They need to get those 2-point caps in about 3 minutes, 22 seconds, plus whatever spare change they get in their pocket at the end. That is not a great position. You would have liked to have some sort of win condition against Shoes Money Crew here, but even if they make those 2 points, they'll still have to go again. So overall, an unenviable position, Ryan.
And especially because for the second point, none of the two teams have really looked strong. On the first one, we can see the positioning, we can see the compositions working better for certain times. But on the second, both teams have done the same on the attack, just play really, really aggressive and take the victory. So that's one of the biggest challenges that VASTA is going to be having, if they can have enough time to get to the second point and play really aggressive, and we would actually go to another round.
Certainly be saying if that is going to be the case. Once again, the composition is not changing too much. Monet is still on that Echo, as we can see here in the first person. Looking to take to the skies, trying to put some pressure onto that Lucio, get rid of all the overhead scouting that might be available. We see Monet trying to just do some constant damage, building up a duplicate early on. Never hurts VASTA, as it could be said. And being said, they are going to be looking to pass through this left side, perhaps get onto that high ground. And early on, A10 already taken out a mech, and Erki falling down. So now it's the DPS for the side of Shoes Money Crew who are gone and out of this fight. DPS not standing a lot for very long in this first point. As we see Monet kind of on the back foot, just trying to survive against Hades. So far, very successful in that task. And just like that, VASTA gets the first point once again.
And it just proves that both teams are really good at attacking, but defending not so much. They haven't really figured it out just quite yet, especially here in Volskaya. This is one of the cases that many teams have to face over and over again. We've actually even seen it in Overwatch League where Toronto and Titans never really know how to hold the defense here. This might be one of the cases, and the opportunity for VASTA to try to push here is really, really big.
We do see Ido trying to build up that ult charge, that EMP 90% would be a good way to lead into this next fight. As well, keep an eye out for that nano boost if VASTA want to try to just make a quick win of this. The nano boost does go out right onto Rocket. Zab taken down almost instantaneously, as is A10D mech. This is looking great for VASTA to get this point with some time left on the clock. That's exactly what they're going to want. And Hades way in the back. This is very unfortunate that Winston not going to be able to contest a point, and that's just free progress for the side of VASTA. The Tracer now having to try to jump in and buy anything they can, but VASTA doesn't look like they have the manpower because of Hades on that Winston, separating the supports. The EMP does go out just attempt to put the nail in the coffin, but Shoes Money Crew shakes it off. Ido not able to find a lot.
Yeah, and once again, they do still have a lot of time to try to make this push, but a lot of ultimates that were invested there for VASTA. So a risky situation, you know that if Stab engages with the Coalescence, with the EMP from Eriki as well, is going to be really hard. They don't have much time, about 2 more fights left for VASTA, so a lot of regression that needs to come through.
Creeping around in that backline, trying to find any vulnerability, find any weakness that they can spot out for the side of VASTA. The weakness is going to be the tank line. Rocket and Nipahog both getting caught by the EMP. Going to get shredded up is Rocket, that giant scientist. Not going to be long for this fight. Fees tossing a pulse bomb right onto the face of Snap, taking them down. And with this, VASTA now looking in a very rough spot.
Shoes Money Crew definitely looking so much better on that dominant defensive position that we were talking about at the beginning. They still have that Coalescence to be used, that Soundweir to keep them alive, so that should be more than enough for them to take the victory here. Less than a minute left for VASTA, and not many opportunities like we were talking about. We know they're going to be engaging with the Valkyrie coming through, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be enough.
Certainly not, as we do see the supports on the line, the support ults on the line for Shoes Money Crew. A lot of sustain going to be capable for those teams. We'll have to see if the side of VASTA can shake up the concept here. As we see Ido once again lining up to try to avoid a whole lot of damage. Gets caught out by the Winston and the Moira, translocating pretty far ways away. A10 lining up for that bomb. We're seeing the Valk come out from MVP, and now it's looking like VASTA trying their best to swing back despite losing Ido. Early on, it's going to be Maimone getting that duplicate Winston onto the point, trying to build up that primal as quick as possible, trying to just bat away anybody who's at point. This is where the side of VASTA has to make a stand. A10 living for a very long time on this point, however, they eventually be using that skill to take down their opponents, and so far it's looking great. VASTA has nobody near point. It's going to have to try to beat Ido, but to no avail. Diva Bomb going to clear out point, and Shoes Money Crew takes their second map.
And they were looking so good with this. At the beginning, once again, they were struggling a lot with the defense for both teams. But for VASTA, they were looking closer than we saw them on the first map. So I believe they do have the opportunity to try to make that comeback here. A lot of changes that we saw more aggression, which is exactly what we want to see in this composition. And it worked out really well for them until the end. And it's just so hard in this 2CP match because when you're going into a third round, there's only so many opportunities, only so many fights that you have. So it just puts a lot of pressure into the teams, and sometimes not being able to build one ult is more than enough for them to just not be able to win. And a lot of opportunities, again, they should be able to make that comeback if they play a little bit more aggressive, but overall it was really good from both of them.
Yeah, I have to highlight the moment of Shoes Money Crew. I was a little bit questionable on it in the moment, but Hades using that Primal Rage to section off the supports during the VASTA attack on second point, or I guess a fourth point if you prefer. Really just mitigating any healing that the front line could get, meaning that basically they gave up that one tick on the second defense, but it was at the cost of ensuring that that fight would not be won for the second or third tick. So overall, very skillfully played. As we look ahead, however, we will be seeing that our next map is going to be the hybrid map of Numbani, one I'm pleasantly surprised to see.
Yeah, Numbani, that brings a lot of possibilities for the two teams. I believe in terms of composition, we would be seeing around the same idea. It's worked really well for them before, and even in that mirror matchup where Shoes Money Crew is taking the advantage, VASTA's not looking too bad. They just need to, at the end of the day, it's really a matter of who is going to get the ults first and who's going to use them first. Is it going to be the Sombra for VASTA? Is it going to be the Sombra for Shoes Money Crew? Or the Primal Rage as well, like we were mentioning, and how much pressure it puts into the supports. So both should be looking really, really good here. Very excited to see what they have to bring.
As we look ahead, we're getting a little bit of a sneak peek at what might appear to be the Sigma coming out, however, A10 on the attacking team of Shoes Money Crew. So unsure if that's actually what the rollout's going to be until the actual button hits, but it looks like it's not. They're just swapping around, seeing how the other tanks feel.
And now that we're seeing Eriki on the Genji, even if he doesn't keep it, actually we've seen quite a lot of Genji recently. Not as much as we used to see in the past meta, but overall, I think it does enable teams that creates more opportunities. So if it were to come up at some point, that would be a lot of damage coming through and that dive opportunity as well.
A good opportunity here. Urki looking like they're debating whether they want to change off that Genji, but we see Sab on the Ana, so a good opportunity for a big old nano blade to come through as Shoes Money Crew builds it up. And Urki, of course, going to be able to get up onto that high ground as well, which it looks like they're scouting out for the time being. The rest of Shoes Money Crew going to be going underneath, going onto the high dive, the bubble coming in, preventing a lot of damage and healing coming in from Snap. Not getting caught right into that bubble, but with the trades going back and forth, it's looking a little bit chaotic on both sides of the field right now. VASTA managing to get the res, and they still have a pretty equal numbers advantage. That is still A10, just cuts a little bit of a swath. Rocket and Mamone both going to be falling to the fusion cannons coming in from D.Va, and with this now, Shoes Money looking pretty good for the opportunity to get some point presence here. They are going to have 4 members up, building up towards that first tick, as we see the Ido Sombra trying to come through, not quite finding a whole lot, just peeking in, doing a little bit of damage with that SMG. Not going to be too successful. VASTA does get a dive onto point, forcing out some relocations from the side of Shoes Money Crew, but it's going to be Rocket put into a corner. A big EMP comes out, though, lands onto 3. This might be the claim back that the side of VASTA needed here, and it looks like they'll actually possibly be able to stabilize as they break the bubble, get down A10, and the duplicate is forced out from Maimone, but at the cost of making sure that that third point, or that third tick of the first point, does stay within their control.
And I actually really like seeing this re-engagement that we saw from VASTA. It was looking really good, and ideally, you know that you don't want to let the point go just yet, because holding the second checkpoint is going to be so much harder. So if you're able to just hold here, that gives you more opportunities. But in the meantime, for Shoes Money Crew, they're going to be having that blade, they're going to be having that EMP, and so many opportunities for them to take the victory, because they know VASTA invested so much in that prior fight.
For the big combinations coming in from Shoes Money Crew, whether it's the EMP, whether it's the sound barrier coming in with the blade, we will have to find out. Already, it looks like VASTA trying to get upper leg, trying to jump onto that high ground, not quite finding it, however, as Maimone does get taken down. Fees brought dangerously low in back, does eventually fall to Nipahog. The sleep dart does not land onto Hades this time, and once again, Hades just bullying the support line here, cannot catch a break from this tank player. And it's just going to be poor old Nipahog trying to survive on this point, but there's only so much one lone D.Va can do, especially when the spawn is getting camped by Urki.
And the ults that we were talking about weren't even necessary for them. Now they're going to be able to push, to play more aggressive. They're going to be using that blade coming into this next fight. So they're looking more than good to push here into the second point. In the meantime, that EMP also coming for VASTA is the best chance they have to try to hold it for a little bit longer.
See what VASTA can do to start to drain this clock from the side of Shoes Money Crew. We're going to be seeing Ido try to reposition themselves, rotate around. Looks like they're heading towards cart, perhaps to nestle themselves deep within enemy territory. EMP can do a lot of damage, disabling a lot of those abilities. However, Shoes Money Crew going to be catching out Rocket for the time being, going to be pushing up on them just a little bit, trying to force that Winston back in any capacity. As we see here, not a lot of stoppage going in on this streets phase of Numbani. Rocket trying to play around the corner with this bus, using that big old hitbox of Winston to contest that cart as much as possible. But now we're seeing the Nano Blade come out. Urki does get hacked, however, preventing that dash from coming through, cutting the heels of that Genji. Urki finds nothing with that Nano Blade. Going to be Maimone brought down and quickly back up as Rocket uses that Primal Rage to buy as much time as they can on cart, using that bubble to break as many lines of sight. It's going to be Hades falling. Vancouver, things are looking great for VASTA Gaming. They successfully dealt with the Nano Blade, forced back the Sombra, and now it's just the Ana and D.Va on the back foot trying to get away.
And this is a really, really good hack that we saw actually coming from Ido, getting that hack into the Genji. You know that if you're able to do this, it's going to completely allow your team to prepare for the Genji coming through, but in the meantime, he got hacked actually twice and didn't have an opportunity. That's why we see him now going to the Sombra. He knows that the Genji wasn't really working out for him.
Ido gets hacked out themselves, and because of that, can't translocate away. A10 just burning them down with those missiles. As we look now, it's going to be man down for VASTA, who are, again, just trying to slow contest this cart, especially Rocket, holding on right around that corridor. But it's going to be Maimone getting the duplicate onto the D.Va. 2 D.Vas now on the field for the side of VASTA. The D-Mech comes through, and Mamone not able to use the self-destruct as it comes in a feast, actually taking down 2 of the duplicate forms all on their lonesome, or with the assist of their team, rather, and that's going to secure this Streets phase for the side of Shoes Money Crew.
And we need to talk about A10 and how he's been consistently good on getting those final blows, has enabled the team so much throughout this map, throughout every single map that we've seen. Has had an amazing performance. He's just a really good player. You definitely need to be on the lookout for him, as well as the rest of the team. And VASTA also needs to watch out for this last point. 2 minutes 30 seconds remaining, and not that many opportunities to hold right now.
EMP gonna be online. The Nano Boost gonna be online. 2 ultimates that can really halt the push here coming in for VASTA. It's gonna be the EMP coming out, but it doesn't catch Coomer, and because of that, Sound Barrier goes out. Now we're going to be seeing the majority of Shoes Money Crew being able to survive Urki notwithstanding. The Primal Rage coming out from Hades means that this might just be a big old ult pin cushion for the side of Shoes Money Crew, but Rocket on the other hand going to be finding a little bit more success with that Primal Rage, taking down Coomer, putting Shoes Money Crew on the back foot again.
And once again, now a lot of the aggression that was invested for VASTA works out. Now they really need to figure out coming into this next fight what they're going to be doing about that EMP. They don't have that Lucio that can try to run away and then try to get that Sound Barrier going on for them. So it's a little bit more risky and a lot of smart plays that need to come through.
MVP coming in from Urki allows MVP to just basically get pounced upon. Now VASTA are going to be in a very vulnerable position. It's just Rocket trying to maintain that point presence with Nivahog, but they'll both get brought down in quick fashion. The cart slowly inching its way towards that final point, Raya.
And they should be able to get this. That's more than enough time, over a minute. Here we know that Numbani is not the easiest map to get a lot of time, but this is looking really good. In the meantime, everyone holding them at spawn and making go mad.
0.01 meters left for the cart. There is no wiggle room here for the side of VASTA. They have to try to get some kills, and the kill onto Sab's going to be a good start. A10 looking to line up the Diva Bomb from the way back, however, sets up the boosters, or looking to set up the boosters, not quite hitting yet though. Snap does hop onto the Zenyatta, perhaps trying to farm out a trance, get that Discord orb, cause a little bit more damage, and Shoes Money Crew now looking a little bit on the back end as they look to just back out, regroup themselves, and give it one more push.
Yeah, Shoes Money Crew looking a little bit more passive here. They know that they really need to win that fight in one shot, using all the ults, making sure that they work out for them. So I do like how they backed out. Now they're going to go aggressive.
Hog getting caught out, gonna get stunned and brought out of mech eventually. As we see now, it's gonna be A10 throwing that Diva Bomb up into the air. The Diva, or the duplicate on two with the Diva, actually preventing my Monet from getting taken down. Excellent play there. A10 getting D-mexed by their opponent, their foe opponent, in my Monet with that Diva. The Diva Bomb now on a line, just trying to bully Sav right now, not letting that Ana get any healing or damage through with the Matrix. The Primal Rage is there for Shoes Money Crew, but the cart is not. With that, it stops 0.01 meters from third.
And that was a really, really good defense from VASTA right at the end. Every single time the Shoes Money Crew had more ultimates, they knew how to play around it. They knew they needed to get the picks first before Shoes Money Crew was able to do this and capitalize out of them. It seemed like Shoes Money Crew was going to come up on top. They had everything, every single ability, every single ult at some point to try to play more aggressive, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. Now I'm very excited to see VASTA definitely looking stronger and stronger every map we see them.
I definitely agree. VASTA had me biting my nails for a second there, as you know, they had the exact last moment to jump on that cart. They hit it. Not only did they hold that cart at that point, they defended it successfully, and now they burned down the entire clock. So now the ball is in their court. There is a firm set win condition here. They don't have to worry about overtime. They don't have to worry about any of that. Just get it to that third point. You got the victory in your hands.
And definitely just more confident that we're going to be seeing this team playing. They know that they don't even need to get third. So for VASTA, a lot of opportunities. The composition that they were playing when Shoes Money Crew at the beginning was not looking so strong. When they were playing the Genji, they definitely capitalized out of it, getting those picks over and over again. The biggest challenge right now they're going to be having, it seems like, is going to be A10, getting those final blues over and over again, being everywhere where he needs to be, peeling for his supports, and also just playing aggressive when he needs to be.
A very opportunistic diva play coming in from A10. Excellently said. As we look now, it's going to be VASTA going up onto this high ground, getting their Sombra in position once again. Ido might be looking for some hacks, and Hades going to be meeting the tanks of VASTA head on, trying to mitigate this damage with the bubble coming through, but a lot of damage going in onto Hades. The healing is there for them. However, Sap is basically focusing their shots into that giant monkey hide. As now we look ahead, Shoes Money Crew does get the D-Mech onto Nipahawk. Things are leaning in their advantage a little bit, and VASTA being a little bit more reserved here. They don't want to engage without that diva in full mech form, and they will just be taking the opportunity for Nipahawk to throw themselves off and get regrouped.
Yeah, now they mentioned another challenge that you really need to take care of this Echo, creating so much damage everywhere. The positioning that the series is able to get over and over again and getting those picks, it has enabled VASTA so much that there has to be definitely be a counter coming through really soon if they want to keep holding.
Now we see VASTA going in the underneath area of the left side for Numbani. We see that first point slowly being encroached upon, and the dive coming in on high on to Sap. Nepal actually eating the pulse bomb from Fees. Excellently played there. And Hades now going to be getting a nano boost, looking to cleave a bunch of damage once again into the side of VASTA, able to successfully come out on top in this fight. But it looks like VASTA able to get a couple ults in their pocket.
Yeah, and once again, we see the defense is in a really good positioning to keep holding, to keep playing aggressive. I really like how they're playing, how they're not rushing, they're not playing as fast as you would expect them, and that just seems to be more than enough. They definitely need to be watching for that EMP coming through, and especially a duplicate that has been so effective before.
Yep, a boost going to be going out onto Rocket. Everybody else on the team getting hacked, and because of that, it's going to be Shoes Money Crew just diving past the nanoed Winston and cleaving out the rest of the team. The damage is certainly there for Shoes Money Crew, and VASTA looking very, very limited right now.
And they seem like they have a strategy at some points, but it just doesn't work out. Now they're going to be having the Sagar on the Diva. You hate to see it every time, but it's going to be happening as well. Now they're also just looking so good to keep holding. In the meantime, VASTA hasn't been able to use as many ults as they want to.
That's certainly going to be working out for them, as they do have quite a few built up. Quite a few for both teams, as a matter of fact, with the exception of the EMP and Nano. One apiece for the teams, both going to be gone out of this fight. But we're looking ahead now. VASTA getting lined up again. A minute left on the clock. Not an opportunistic time for them. We see Hades receiving that nano boost, but it's going to be VASTA choosing to push in regardless. Snap, the first one taken down, not by the Winston, but instead by the Tracer. As we look ahead, Shoes Money Crew continuing to get these kills, continuing to be dominant so far. They have successfully repelled another attack by VASTA, and that time it just seemed like VASTA didn't know what they wanted to do.
And once again, Idol and we see this Sombra and these Echo players for VASTA, they've held their ultimate abilities for 3 fights now, where they get taken down way too fast before they're able to do this. This is wasting a lot of time, and they only have about 23 seconds left, so this is the one last fight that they have to try to take.
They're going to be going in with the duplicate onto Saab, but Saab lands a sleep dart onto my Monet, ensuring that Ana duplicate does not get as much value as needed. EMP, however, going to be finding plenty of value as it lands onto Fees, A10, and Hades. The return EMP comes out, landing onto Rocket pretty much alone, and kills still going in favor of Shoes Money Crew. The pulse bomb goes out, doesn't find a whole lot, but A10 there, once again, quick with the cleanup, with the Diva bomb, being that enforcer. Overtime's going to tick down, and without even a single point, VASTA's going to lose Numbani here. Shoes Money Crew takes their third map.
Shoes Money Crew looking really, really good at the end, holding that defense. And that was something that we were actually not expecting after we saw their defense. And Volskaya, that wasn't looking as strong as they would want to. But here in Numbani, they performed so well from beginning to end. They didn't even let VASTA engage into any proper fight like they wanted to. They weren't able to use as many ultimates into a fight for them to feel comfortable, because they were getting picked over and over again. So that was amazing job from Shoes Money Crew.
Yeah, Shoes Money Crew definitely looking very strong here. We were talking earlier about how both these teams kind of sit towards the lower end of this bracket, but now certainly going to be looking quite a bit stronger. Definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with for those mid-table teams as we see the progression go along. On the other hand, VASTA, I definitely think their coaches and staff have their work cut out for them, see how they can improve, really try to get some more wins on this board.
Yeah, definitely both teams still have a lot of opportunities to try to get those wins at some point, and a lot of discussions and conversations that need to be going on for them to figure out what's working out. But in the meantime, Choose Money Crew definitely seems like they have figured it out best.
So a big congratulations to Shoes Money Crew for taking the 3-0 victory here over VASTA. But our trials enjoyments are not over quite yet. We got Oblivione versus Vox coming up next, so stay tuned. It's going to be back in a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. Almost forgot with all the pleasantries and all the quickness of the game we just saw. We do have a little bit of an outro interview here, so we are going to be waiting to get our interviewee in here. It is going to be Coomer coming in from the side of Shoes Money Crew. Definitely excited to see how they kind of give us a read on it. Coomer, I'm hearing you come into the chat. Welcome back, my friend.
Hi, yeah.
So, let's talk about it a little bit. You guys were struggling a little bit at the beginning of this Trials event, and now it seems like you guys have kind of fit into the groove, at least if this game against VASTA is any indicator. What kind of helped you guys overcome the obstacles you were suffering from in the beginning?
Well, we started with the hardest team, and then this second hardest team, and then it's kind of just like we're reducing in difficulty now towards the end of the week. These last couple of teams have not been anywhere near as hard. Like yesterday against Vox, we got to mirror Brawl, which is cool for us, but the other two teams just kind of refused to mirror. Well, you probably saw in Nepal what happens when they tried to mirror us. But yeah, we also had 1-2 productive scrims between Contenders and Trials on this new patch, and it's a bit kind of janky, especially with Avoided shaking up the meta and such. It's a bit hard to adjust to, especially when teams are just playing spam all the time.
Right, and that's one of the things that we were talking about how the mirror composition was always working better for your team. And then also coming into this match, were you expecting this to happen? Were you maybe nervous that they were trying to play something else, or were you just always confident that you were going to take the win against VASTA?
I wasn't really nervous about what they played. I knew they'd have an easier time if they didn't mirror us. And obviously, I feel like VASTA is a team that would, last time they tried to mirror us, and today they did as well, because that's the kind of, that's how they usually like to play. And then they just kind of played their composition on Volskaya. We struggled a bit, kind of went the wrong comp, and they probably kept it because it got the best results for them. We weren't really scared though, for whatever they pick.
Certainly seems to show itself the proof in the pudding on that one. But you mentioned it, I want to talk about Volskaya a little bit. We saw you guys come out with the Reinhardt. Now, I know it's not necessarily your wheelhouse, but what was kind of the thought process behind that Reinhardt on that high ground to start first point?
I'm not speaking for Hades here, but I think we played the first map, didn't lose a fight, and thought it doesn't really matter what we play. So... Yeah, and we didn't really pick it up, the more composition. Usually we pick it there because teams tend not to run spam into us, and when they do, last time we just played Zarya, and we thought maybe running the D.Va would be easier. But I think it's how we played, we just didn't play it right. Yeah, the comp was honestly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then one last question that I have is, when you were going against VASTA, even though you were definitely taking the advantage every single time, who do you think was the strongest player that you really needed to watch out a little bit more for?
Definitely the Echo player. He's on Echo, at least he's very good. On Sombra as well, he's doing super good. In the past as well, he's always surprised me with how good his Echo is. And yeah, I think it's main one.
Well, you've heard it from the horse's mouth here. First, folks, Coomer, thank you very much for tuning in, or I guess dropping in, answering a few questions for us. Before I let you go, do you want to give you the opportunity to give any shout-outs you might feel are necessary right about now?
No, but my name has a B in it, so pronounce it, please.
Coomber, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. All
Yeah,
right.
don't worry.
I will carry that information forward. But once again, thank you very much for joining us here. Congratulations on your 3-0 win over VASTA.
Cheers. Thanks.
And with that, Dryad, we are about ready to wrap things up between Shoes Money Crew and VASTA Gaming with a nice little bow. But as I mentioned before, we do have our next game coming up here in just a little bit, folks. So make sure you stick around. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back, everybody, from a quick break here. We're going to be hopping in with Oblivione versus Vox Nihili in the Overwatch Contenders trials as we look ahead here in the EU region. For your casting entertainment, CERN, Waltham, and Dryad once again back at it. Dryad, how are you feeling after that last match?
Well, the match was definitely not what we were expecting, that 3-0, but I'm glad to see the teams coming up on top, taking the victories. And now also just looking ahead, I'm really, really excited to see this match that's going to be against Oblivione against Vox Nihili. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Also talking about the new lineup and the new pickups the Oblivione has. Picking up Lethal and Cloud has been really, really good for them so far. They haven't actually lost just yet, so it's definitely working. That DPS lineup is looking so strong.
For those of you who weren't here earlier to see the map set, we will be starting off on Nepal, then moving into Volskaya, casually dovetailing that into Numbani, and if necessary, Dorado, Ilios, and Lijiang Tower. I'm going to be looking forward to some of those for sure, but we saw a very quick last game here. I'm hoping for a little bit more competition coming out from these two teams, Ryan.
And the two teams definitely have the potential to take us to even a map 5 if it's necessary. We know that also for Vox, we already talked about Excel and the new pickups that they have, but for Vox, we have the Yamatic that on the Winston last time that we saw him has been absolutely amazing, has outperformed every single tank on the matches that they had. So I'm very excited to see if we can see this again. And also talking about the support lineup, they're going to be having Nat that has also had a really good performance so far. And I do believe the two teams with the players that they have the potential to take us far into every single map.
We will be finding out as the game is about to go underway. We are going to hop into Nepal here in just a moment. Roster's just about ready to get going in this lobby, but as we look ahead, Dryad, let's talk about kind of what we've seen as the precedent for compositions coming out. We've been seeing a little bit of dive tank style coming through.
Yeah, a lot of that sort of dive tank line that sometimes it ends up working more as a brawl composition, which is ideal for certain teams. But there's a lot of still variety into what teams decide to play and how they want to play it. Because when you have the Winston, the D.Va, you can try to take the high ground, you can try to scout, you can obviously dive. But also, if you're playing a Reaper, for example, that just also gives you the ability to brawl and to completely destroy the other team into a single fight.
As we get going here, we will be seeing perhaps a little bit of a difference in the DPS comp. Lethal going to be on that sim just to get the teleport out. We'll be hopping on to the Tracer, so not too different. Just the Sombra versus the Pharah Cloud here, already taking to the skies. Trying to pepper in some damage into the point, making it a little bit more threatening for the side of Vox to really push into. We're seeing a couple of those rockets land, but so far not too much. Slay caught out easily on that Zenyatta. NKZ gonna be catching them with that D.Va, able to just dive onto that Zenyatta. Of course, not much self-defense mechanisms can be had from the Omnic Monk himself. As we look ahead though, Oblivione able to recover just a little bit with the res going on to the Zenyatta, but it's going to be Vox getting first capture here as we do see them start to take up this point progress. Meaning that now it's going to have to be on to Oblivione to try to shake something up. They have to be aggressive with this fight and really take the intro into it. NKZ as a kill is a good opportunity, and Cloud being brought dangerously low, but using the geometry to really cut those lines of sights. Oblivione needed to get the opportunity here. They've certainly made one for themselves. They're now going to be swarming onto point. 30 ping is going to be trying to dive in, but Cloud catches them with a rocket. Slay still maintaining this high ground, as Zenyatta has always advantage to do.
Yeah, once again, they're looking so strong, and it was a sort of risky position. They're getting that pick so early on Slay, which ideally you want to keep your Zenyatta alive. And this is one of the strategies that Oblivione always decides to play. They try to put Zenyatta as a bait, and then everyone just dives into whoever's jumping into their Zenyatta. So it works really good, but sometimes the Zenyatta does get taken down. So as long as they're watching out for this, they should be taking the advantage. They have that barrage as well coming through. In the meantime, EMP for Alex could be the best opportunity to counter.
Have to be Cloud watching out for that EMP, as you mentioned. NKZ as well has the opportunity to mitigate a lot of that damage with the D.Va Matrix Alex looking to set up for an EMP. Vox Nihili going to really focus on winning this fight, but Alex going to be taken out of the fight a little bit early on. No more threat of the EMP coming through for Oblivione. They now can reign a little bit more freely here, not have to play as disciplined, and they're going to be trying to chase down this Tracer 330 ping. Gonna be trying to find an angle, but it's Lethal who ends up taking advantage. Only more progress taking up for Oblivione.
And this is very, very risky coming for Vox because all 6 ults are available for Oblivione. You know they're going to take advantage of it right away. They need to get those picks early on.
Both support ultimates going to be, all 4 support ultimates going to be popped in here in this small room just for Vox to try to break out and for X to try to keep them in here. Cloud does throw in the Rocket Barrage, able to take down Alex. It will be at the cost of the point flipping over, though, as one member of Vox is going to be on point, ready to go. You see NKZ trying to chase down that Mercy, really trying to mitigate the healing that can go onto the Pharah, onto those big beefy tank units. The Diva Bomb now going to be coming out from Vestola, does land onto one. Froki out of the fight now. It looks like Oblivione might have an opportunity to turn things around here. White Noise trying to jump towards point, gets booped back a little bit by NKZ. It's going to be the Diva Bomb now coming in from said Diva player. And it looks like Oblivione stuttering a little bit here to get the kills that they need. They're going to be driven back, and Vox so far having a good opportunity on point.
Yeah, they keep getting that percentage that they need so bad, and also the stackers are going to be coming through. There isn't a really clear fight right now, so this is going to be just benefiting more for the side of Vox. In the meantime, a lot of ults that need to be built for the side of EXO. They use absolutely everything in the fight. They thought they were able to win it, and they were looking so good, but unfortunately, those early picks by Vox were more than enough for them to take him down.
See, Oblivione now trying to take this high ground routing up here, looking to get some advantage with that high ground, but as high as they are, Cloud going to be up in the clouds, looking to rain down some rockets in. The Coalescence coming out from Nat, trying to just laser the aerial units as much as possible, keep their team healed up as well. Vestola, the only member on point, going to put them in a very vulnerable position. The Transcendence comes out, but Slay not able to save White Noise or Cloud as they're both brought down before the trance hits. EMP goes out, Alex landing it onto one, and with this it looks like it's all just going to be cleaned up for Vox Nihili, as now it's just the Baby Diva and a Lucio on point, both of which get dispatched rather quickly.
And not exactly what we were expecting. We were definitely expecting EXO to try to hold it till the end when they had those 6 ults available for them. But now they really need to figure out what was not exactly working for them, and I believe just the engagements weren't as crisp as you would want them to be, because they were getting picked by Vox at some point, and it just kept happening till the end. And just knowing that percentage advantage that Vox got at the beginning, that was going to help them out so much. If it didn't happen, then I believe EXO would have had a better opportunity to take it there. But for what we see right now, if they're going to stay there, we might see the Zarya Zarya coming through.
An interesting change-up in tank lines between these two teams if that Ryan Zarya does in fact end up rolling out. Lethal once again on the sim, just getting that teleporter up. Might be expecting that Tracer swap to come through once again. Cloud, similarly on the May. But it does look like Lethal gonna be swapping off too. Immediately might decide to actually roll out with this. Gonna help Oblivione get early point presence, really build up their defenses. It's exactly what you want with that sim. As we see now, they are getting nestled right up in there, taking advantage of that teleporter to do some quick scouting, some quick peeks if you prefer. White Noise going to be playing the Rhine Shield, makes a little bit more sense now.
Yeah, and I really like seeing this composition being played out here, as well as they may. Just putting the wall, making the rotations is one of the things that makes this part of the map so exciting. Now, in the meantime, we're going to be seeing Vox trying to recontest it, but you know they have a challenge, and that EXO was going to try to rotate to the back before anyone is taken down.
To play carefully here, can't mitigate the damage coming through from either of the DPS players, and the Amatic actually getting caught out by the Maywall, has to charge forward, gets punished for it, and with this Oblivione looking good to win their first fight, which already puts them at 25%.
And this is just a really good fight for them, because you're going to be having that coalescence coming through for the next fight for both of them. And once again, the best opportunity for Vox is going to be trying to engage with it. But in the meantime, Cloud, it has had a really good performance so far, and the May. And when you take control of this point, when you also are able to take the high ground, it's just really hard to recontest. So you are going to be having the wall, you're going to be having the teleporter, the rotations as well coming through, and that's more than enough for them.
Very good utilization of the Maywall and the teleporter coming through indeed. It's going to be the Coalescence from Nat hitting first, Slay to drop theirs second. And now we're seeing Oblivione have to back up just a little bit. Doesn't feel like they seem that confident about it. White Noise dropping a huge hammer, though. The Maywall actually pinning them up into the ceiling. NKZ does take a little bit of the early damage, though. A big block coming in from White Noise prevents the Omatic from getting too much value with that Rhine Shatter. Things looking still very strong for Oblivione as they tick up from 75.
And this is the Oblivione that we know so well, how aggressive they are and how they just instantly get those picks. Exactly what we were expecting from them. Now they're looking better at that 80%, which means that they just could be last fight territory for Vox. If they don't really watch out, that Graviton, that Blizzard as well coming through for Oblivione should be more than enough for them to give them the victory.
To be on to NKZ to ideally eat either of them, does not eat any, and with that the Blizzard does come out, doesn't block too many people down, but Nat does fall. The Reinhardt blocks the Shatter, but the damage already done and no support line available for the side of Vox. Now they're going to be struggling to get any kills they can. The Diva Bomb onto point just to try to make something happen. Nothing does, and because of that we're going to be seeing Oblivione tying up Nepal.
And I feel like the reason why they do so good now was because they're forced out of the support line now that they were feeling comfortable with. We didn't see that Mercy and that Zenyatta coming through for EXO again, and that was just putting them in a little bit of a disadvantage before, because you're not going to have as much heals, and because of the map and architecture itself is really hard for the rest of the team to peel for Zenyatta. But now seeing the Moira and Lucio, this sort of mirror composition that we were seeing, for the most part was helping them so much. And if they keep it, they have the opportunity to also win this last part of the map.
It's all going to come down to this map as we see the teams rolling out. Once again, Zarya Diva going to be a little bit of the difference maker here for these teams. In fact, the only difference maker as we see these teams starting to roll out. Reaper and Sombra, the option for both sides. See Cloud rolling around on point, trying to perhaps find a weak spot in the opposing side of Vox Nihili. Although it is going to be Oblivione who gets early point presence and going to make it to where now Vox has to push up onto them. Froki going from high, trying to get some boosts. Doesn't find a whole lot, almost catches the Zarya, but not quite good enough. Still looking around, almost gets the Moira now, still not serving a whole lot of purpose when it comes to those kills, but Ping is going to be picking it up, and now Froki finally finding the value with the double, and that's going to be it. It's all going to be Vox Nihili for this first point cap.
And it seemed like it was going for the side of EXO, but once again, Froki trying to boop someone over and over again. No one was countering him until it finally worked, and there was absolutely nothing that Oblivione could have done there. They're looking so much better now, trying to take control of the point of view. Also, Coalescence as well, ready for a nap that's going to be used right at the beginning.
So you can see here, Oblivione just trying to position, try to posture themselves, finding any capitalization that they can against their opponents. They're now working a little bit of an uphill battle, especially with both these Coalescences going online. These fights going to take a little bit longer than desirable for either of these teams. Alex has the EMP, waiting for that Coalescence to wear off, gets caught out, still drops the EMP, hits a 4, and because of that, it's going to be Vox Nihili closing in for the kill, or the multiple kills if you prefer. It's going to be them securing this point as they tick upwards and closer to 50%.
And there's a huge difference that we see there, because in the meantime, Cloud only has 75% of the EMP coming through, and you see this showing over and over again. Sometimes you want to have that counter EMP, but you want to make sure that you both of the Sombras build it at the same time. And this is going to affect them now. Vista has a big opportunity with the Gao as long as it doesn't get eaten by Diva.
Keep an eye out for Vistola and for NKZ. Both have the opportunity to make it here. Vistola hiding in the wings, waiting in that side hallway. The big Diva Matrix coming through from NKZ prevents any damage from going in onto 30 ping. And because of that, the Death Blossom finds its value. With that, Vox Nihili sweeping the field and making this point all theirs, 80% and up.
More than 80% now, and just looking so good. The Old Academy has looked amazing from beginning to end. In the meantime, EXO is forced to keep their ultimates into the next fight because they kept getting picked right at the beginning. This is the mistake they were making at the beginning, and it happening again.
The grab EMP combo coming out. Cloud trying to land, but doesn't find a whole lot of kills off the back end. It's going to be 2 for 2. NKZ almost getting thrown into the pit, playing carefully around that Lucio now. Rookie still hanging around on high, trying to just deal the damage, be the pestilence. Slay drops the Coalescence, try to keep their team alive, keep them up and healthy, as well as put on any pressure onto Vox and Nihili. Anything that can be done here for the side of Oblivione, they're going to take, as well as the point.
We finally take the point, but this could be one last fight. If Vox really knows how to try to attack again, they definitely have all the advantages that EMP as well coming through for them. And this is one of those parties that we see once again from these two teams. You want to have the same ults at the same time and try to take advantage of them as much as you can. But in the meantime, for Theomatic, he's had an amazing performance so far. This is one of the players that we're talking about over and over again. Has an insane tank ability and so many opportunities for him to win here.
Coming out, dovetailed into an Earth Shatter, doesn't find anything as the only player hit by that is the Reaper. Not going to be taken down. Vox and Nihili invested 2 for the price of none. And now we're going to be getting in here. Alex tries to find the kill on Lethal, does succeed. Nat dropping the Coalescence, trying to invest more ultimates to make this come out. Dubs. With that, it's looking like Vox and Nihili going to be coming in clean with these kills so far. The Coalescence from Slay has to be invested as they need to hold point. The point does get flipped over. And it's not going to quite be enough. Overtime ticking down. The Doomfist now coming out in emergency. Lethal trying to find some sort of value with it, but gets burned down too aggressively. Theomatic just holding that shield right at the entryway. Nobody going to be allowed in, save for White Noise on the ball. Gets hacked out. Not long for this world.
And it just doesn't seem like there is anything that EXO can do here. Actually, surprising for a few of Oblivione fans that they were expecting more aggression. But overall, the matches so far in the map that we saw just look very, very close. So a lot of opportunities still for EXO to try to make that comeback. Vox, in the meantime, we were talking about the tank lineup, the support lineup, the DPS lineup that has looked insane. Every single map that we've seen, every single fight, they really figure out how to take control of the situation again.
Yeah, control of the situation seems to be a defining factor for a lot of these fights. So definitely looking to see how these teams kind of cope with one another, because you know, sometimes you're playing Overwatch against an enemy team, sometimes you're playing it against yourself. See which one really proves to be more detrimental for both Vox and EXO. But as we look ahead, we do set our sights onto the horizon, as we do know that our next map is going to be Volskaya, so maybe an opportunity for some strategy change coming in Triad.
And actually, for seeing Volskaya again, I do believe that for Oblivione, we're going to be seeing that Zenyatta again. I believe it gives him a lot of opportunities, and last time that we had an opportunity to talk with them, they were mentioning how usually what they do is that they use Zenyatta as a bait, and you know that the rest of the team is trying to take him down. In the meantime, everyone just jumps to him and protects him. So this might be one of the cases that Zenyatta and Mercy that has worked so well for the team before, I believe is a big opportunity. But yet again, they were forced out of the composition they felt comfortable in because of the meta, you know, is going to be that Moira and that Lucio. So you're kind of forced if you know it's really not working out. And this is exactly what we saw before.
Now it will be Slay coming out on that Zenyatta. At least that's what it appears from the defense so far. As we look ahead, yeah, we are going to be seeing them come out at least for this first point defense, maybe. But we are going to go ahead and look around. As we see, we're going to be seeing a little bit more Ashe, so a little bit more sniper play than we saw previously.
And I really like actually seeing this. Lethal is a really, really good Ashe, in fact. And just also having the support from Kara on the Mercy should be enough for them to try to get a few picks right at the beginning. And also the position that they're going to try to hold once again. Everyone is kind of spread out in the high ground, and it just works out because the ones that are the farthest away are going to be the tanks that are able to dive and support the rest of the team when necessary.
See Oblivione trying to hold up on top of this bunker area. Lethal keeping a due diligence up, making sure that that side angle does not get hit. Although Oblivione going to be taking a little bit more of the passive route, allowing Vox and Nihili to try to rotate up on towards this high ground. And we'll be taking this opportunity to get healed up. Alex going to be focused down just a little bit. Cloud already building up quite a bit of ult charge for a Tracer in this fight when it hasn't even really broken out quite yet. And Vox and Nihili don't look like they quite know where they want to take this engagement, but it will eventually be occurring on this high ground. And NKZ taking a boatload of damage, has to back out, forcing the focus all onto Theomatic. Because of that, we're seeing them get brought down. Cloud continuing with their kill streak, going in onto Froki. Now things are looking very good for Oblivione as they hold this first point defense thus far.
and a really, really good DPS lineup that they have going on for them. It just forces their reset really fast for Vox. They knew it wasn't working out for the beginning, and I do like that you mentioned how we saw Cloud building that pulse bomb so early on that just allows them to get 2 picks and to try to hold it for now. In the meantime, the rest of the team was able to build some ultimates for themselves that we will be seeing in the next fight.
Again, the rotation coming in from Vox. It looks like they're trying to push up onto this high ground again. Oblivione just playing the same strat where they rotate out and around. Now the Dynamite coming out from Lethal, looking to be getting some sort of value. Doesn't hit anybody, unfortunately, for Oblivione. Not able to build up that Bob quite as fast. But Slay has that Transcendence almost online. Will they be popping it to save White Noise? In fact, it does go. The Coalescence coming in from Nat cannot save Theomatic, however. The stick onto Froki once again. Cloud has it out for this Lucio player. Remembers the boops from Nepal. And with this, Oblivione burned half the time off the clock for first point.
Cloud and Slay just getting those 2 kills as well for the team. More than enough for them to just look really strong, really confident so far. They also have a few ults incoming for the next fight, so they should be initiating once again with the Valkyrie to try to keep the team alive as well. Vox doesn't really seem to know what to do, how to counter the damages coming through for them.
Oblivione just seems to have these rotations in hand every time. We see Vox going again, the same old route they took last time. We'll see if it changes up. And I do see the Dynamite, so they're going to be pushed back just a little bit. It's going to force them towards Cloud, and Cloud now feeling a little bit of the pressure themselves. But Winston, played by White Noise, going to have a lot of cleave opportunity coming through here. A bit of an early bomb coming in from Lethal. Slay gets capitalized upon because of that. D.Va Bomb goes out, forcing everybody off the high ground. Otherwise, they will take a bunch of damage. And Theomatic just absolutely trying to bully the Stola off the cliff, finding minimal success with it. And the stick onto Theomatic. Cloud hitting these stick bombs every time, it seems. Now, Vox Nihili trying to struggle back in and get some point presence, but 50 seconds left, and there still might be some contests coming through from Oblivione.
Yeah, it seems like that's what's going to happen. They're going to wait a little bit longer before they decide to recontest, as well as the EMP that's going to be used against them.
You're on the side of Oblivione, you're glad you got that EMP out of the way, but you still have to deal with it and worry about feeding over a little bit more ult charge to Stola. The last one on point. Slay going to be dying soon after them. It's okay given the map style, knowing that the respawns will come in rather quickly though.
Yeah, and they actually invested a lot of time trying to take this point. They're finally able to do this 3 minutes for them to try to capture the second. So not looking too bad, but a lot of ultimates that had to be invested into the fight. And it didn't go as clean as they wanted to. But the best opportunity right now for them is initiating the fight with the Coalescence again. But you know it's going to be hard. So many ults building. Bob is going to be ready in just a few seconds for Lethal.
Lethal is very good at building up these ultimates, as well as Cloud. Bob does go in. Doesn't seem to land right onto the point, however. Theomatic jumping right into the corner, getting burned down, though. It was looking very questionable for both sides, but Oblivione going to be the ones coming out on top. Slay throws in a little bit of a late Transcendence. A little bit questionable given how close the spawns were, but either way, it's invested.
And those 3 kills that White Nose was able to get is helping the team so much as well. And also able to build a permanent rage for the next fight. So looking really, really good for the defense so far. But still a lot of time left. More fights that we're going to be seeing again before someone is trying to take the point so far. And once again, that Tomber is going to be ready for Froki. And we can see a lot of plays from the support. We've seen it over and over again. We saw it before. And this is another opportunity to do it.
With the exception of the Bob, Froki able to use that sound barrier pretty much at will. Not too much to have to worry about from the opposite end. Utilizing that resource. The bomb goes out from Cloud, a rare miss, but NKZ going to be hopping onto that high ground once again. However, has to deal with a Primal Winston coming in from White Noise, who's trying to bat around everybody in that tiny caged up room. Now White Noise, the only member left, trying to get some point presence to contest. 50% built up for the side of Vox. As we're seeing them slowly pick apart the defending team, it looks like Oblivione is going to have to make a shake here if they want anything to happen. Kara going to be throwing in the Valkyrie to try to make that go exactly in their favor, but Nat matches that with the Coalescence coming through from their end. The D.Va Bomb ensures that things try to get a little bit more clear from both sides. And now Bob even going to be thrown into the mix. Oblivione investing the entire bank as they have to in order to keep this point alive.
And it was a really good opportunity for Fox to take the point here. Both of the supports for Rex and Oblivione were taken down very, very early on, but unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize from it as fast as they would like to. They still have a minute left, so still an opportunity to take the victory here. It's not going to be as easy though, because they committed so many ults. They thought they would take the advantage there, and it just didn't happen. You definitely need to watch out for Cloud once again, that post bomb that hasn't missed a single time so far.
Cloud with that pulse bomb once again might be sniffing them out. Sees Froakie. It's always a dangerous spot for Froakie to be in with Cloud having that pulse bomb, but I'm not going to be going for it, just waiting for the engagement to take a little bit more activity before investing. And Alex tries to get onto the back line, but Lethal there with the back up, and Vendetta now going to be the one bombing out the supports, getting both of them down. No healing available for the side of Oblivione. Now they're going to be suffering to just play that tank game. The EMEA diving right onto the D.Va Bomb, but able to cut line of sights because of that. Vistola going to be able to get remixed right onto point. A lot of time being bought off the clock. Vox and Nihili not going to be able to make this outside of overtime. And we see Lethal trying to play in. Bob going to be linebacker right onto point, trying to deal the damage. Vendetta taking it down, and now NKZ taken down. This might be the opportunity for Oblivione to start to swing back, especially with those respawns that come in for the defense so much faster. The EMEA dropping the Primal to try to make it happen. Does not quite. Alex drops the EMP, and this might be it. Froakie, Alex, and Nat all working together to try to take this point. The Sombra and two lone supports working to get that second tick. The recontest is going to come in from Kara on that Lucio, but it's only a matter of time. Lethal hopping in on the Echo just to try to get some aerial dominance. Not going to succeed, and Vox and Nihili, despite what were looking like some underwhelming odds, managed to come in.
And how did they get it at the end? That EMP came through, and it seems like there was no one else. The other DPS, the tanks weren't really there to support the EMP, so it seemed like it wasn't going to get any value. But we just saw the Sombra and the Lucio getting 2 picks each, and that was just more than enough for them to win there. Definitely not what you were expecting when it was overtime, and when we saw Oblivione just having a really, really good performance in the defense right at the end. But they are able to flip it around. This is one of the things that we need to notice about Sombra, is that even though it seems like the only thing that works best at is just getting those hacks, the damage coming through for this hero is also something we can't ignore.
Certainly have to agree. We're seeing some great Sombra play come through. I mentioned it many times before, but Cloud, I also like the pulse bombs that are going out. Not hitting 100, but hitting them pretty consistently any other way you put it. Now, it's going to be Vox's turn on the defense here, Dryad. How do they bolster themselves?
Well, it's going to be interesting if there are going to be any adaptation changes for the defense. Actually, we're going to be seeing that Reaper, so more of a Brawl style composition that we were discussing early on. Also having that Reinhardt for the EMEA that has had a really good performance, but can also be risky here. Ideally, just want to take, if you're Oblivione, you want to take a few picks very early on, and that way just making it harder for the Reaper and for also this Reinhardt to really brawl on you.
Looking like a very similar comp coming through from both. However, it is Oblivione taking the back step, looking like they may reconsider their options here. In fact, it is going to be White Noise switching, Kara, Pistola, pretty much everybody switching except for maybe Lethal coming in. Nope, even Lethal going to be switching. So not Cloud on the Tracer anymore, going to instead be taking 2 of these guys. And now it seems like Fox and Nihili gonna be in a little bit of a rough spot to deal with this Pharah. Not a huge threat with the exception of the D.Va. They're gonna be looking to win the ground game because of this Vendetta, pushing up onto the supports and finding it. Now White Noise tasing that Reaper, maybe not the best option as Vendetta looking to close the gap, but the leap away is there. And now point progress being built up for Oblivione. They already have first tick. This is a good start for them, although they did lose a few members out of the gate. Now we are seeing Oblivione get a little bit more dominant positioning here, although it does not allow them a whole lot of point progress. Although it seems like the side of Vox are being a little bit anemic, they're being a little bit more cautious to get on the point here, Dryad. They will be leaning in with Theomatic on that shield, although his shield dangerously low, has to play it very carefully, otherwise it will be brought down into shattered pieces. That's Theomatic trying to swing best, but all they can do is be a pincushion and a contest spot for this point. Vistola going to be diving in, takes a little bit of damage, gets popped right up onto that bunker. Now trying to mitigate all damage they can with the Matrix of their own. Things still looking very good for Vox just in terms of time put off the clock. It's already 1.5 minutes, and we are still seeing this fight go underway, Dryad.
And out of everything that we've seen so far, it's just the fights are very long because there wasn't enough damage coming through, but now I really like seeing the DPS lineup coming for Oblivione. They're looking so much better. 5 minutes that they have to get the second point, and so many ults coming through. Engaging with that barrage is going to help them out. And once again, we didn't see a change coming through for Vox to try to counter this fire better. The best opportunity that you have is that EMP, hoping that it's going to hit the pharmacy, and also the D.Va trying to dive them.
The nano boost coming out and on the line. The D.Va Jet's going up from NKZ to try to catch early on, but instead just going to catch it from below. Cloud not able to do anything with that rocket barrage. Gets mitigated. Lethal does find Nat, however. Will be Oblivione with man advantage for the time being. That is before Vistola is taken down, and now White Noise hopping onto Froki. Gonna really be trying to put that damage in, and now just camping those spawns, making it to where nobody can get out. Oblivione, despite losing a few members, Cloud's gonna help to hopefully secure this point. The Coalescence does come out from Nat to try to keep everybody alive, or more appropriately apply that damage. White Noise succumbing to said damage. Now, it's all a question of how will the stabilization come in for Oblivione. Seems like Cloud committed to winning this fight, landing those rockets. A consistent player so far on the Pharah. As we see them now, trying to focus down the Winston. Again, Cloud managing to pull this back with the help of their tanks, with the help of the Tracer. Pretty much everybody putting their work in to get this point. They're going to get the second tick for their efforts, and now looks like we're seeing Vox and Nihili try to regroup for an attempted collaborative push, but it's going to be a little bit questionable here as they are still suffering men losses. We see the damage come in. White Noise coming in as Reinhardt swings big, helps secure this point.
And just in that fight where everyone's trying to come back from the defender side, we saw that the Pharah for Cloud was able to get 7 kills, just allowing the team, it seems like they wanted to back up, but it just, Cloud is decided to win there, and it really shows a really good performance from the team. The DPS lineup just looks insane, and this is ideal competition from them from what we've seen before. It seems like the Ashe wasn't really working out as good for them, but when they go into the Pharah, when they go into the Tracer, they are unstoppable, making and putting a lot of pressure into Vox, where they had to go overtime. In the meantime, Oblivione with 3 minutes 43 seconds.
Certainly have to agree. It's a very good position for the Oblivione squad to be in. And I don't want to downplay the Ashe that came through from Oblivione. It did not work as well as we saw the Pharah and Tracer, but it was still putting in some good work. It looked like they had a good lockdown of the rotations they needed to take. So absolutely agree. The Tracer's Pharah just might be hairs better than it. But overall, I think this team's looking good. They definitely seem to like to run the Tracer, though.
And it's just because they have a lot of opportunities with this lethal. We know it's an insane Tracer, and it shows every single time that we're able to see this player play. Has had really good performance so far. They have the opportunity to win, and a lot of pressure once again going into Vox, where only one tick is going to be necessary for Oblivione to take the victory here, and definitely more than enough time.
3.5 minutes going to be a very advantageous spot for Oblivione, but they're going to be taking their time, regrouping, coming in with a little bit more of a brawl style. We're going to see that Reinhardt coming out and online. And already, Alex on this Sombra, looking to get hard countered by Care. An interesting choice here as we don't see Brick much anymore. So the first time today, I believe we've seen it. Now, these teams just positioning here. Vox allowing this push to come through slow, not aggressing too much. They need to burn off as much time as possible, and Oblivione going to be content to take their time here as well. They have a few good pushes to get this going. They will be successful in taking this high ground. Theomatic now going to be creeping around the back, waiting for the dive to come in, cutting a little bit of a hard angle. Dives, looking to dive right in, doesn't actually quite commit, and already a good amount of progress being built up on the point. Vox and Nihili have to get in there and contest. Vistola going to be looking to drop some damage in with this Zarya as well. Theomatic already getting taken down early, spells Oblivione's victory out of the gate, and with this they are wiping the field clean. 2.5 minutes is all they will have left in the time bank before getting that first tick. Oblivione going to be equalizing the scoreline.
And doing really good, so much time that they had left actually, so it was just the best that you can expect for Oblivione at the end. And one of my favorite things about this team is the adaptability that they have compared to the others. They check what the composition the other team is playing, they decide what they decide to play, what they want to play, how they want to counter it, and it really shows how successful this is. Other teams kind of have a composition that works for them and stick to it throughout the end. But for Oblivione, they look so strong over and over again. Once again, the DPS lineup that we keep talking about because it's had a really good performance. And the biggest challenge that they have might be the tank lineup, which looks very even for both teams.
Right now, again, Oblivione does manage to pull ahead just a little bit there, well, quite a bit on Volskaya, but evening the scoreline between both of them. Now, I want to ask Dryad, we're seeing Oblivione perform a little bit better than we saw on those control point maps. And do you think that's because they've kind of locked down their style, they've gotten that controlled aggression that they need, or just that this is a better map type for them to play?
Yeah, definitely. I think right at the beginning they were forcing that support line that we were talking about, that Tenera and that Mercy, that wasn't really working out for them. They needed more heals, and everyone was really countering Tenera to the point where he wasn't really able to do anything. And then it just seemed like when they were forced into the Lucio Moira, they felt a little bit more uncomfortable. But when they were playing this map that we just saw for Volskaya, it seemed like they had a better idea of what they wanted to do. Like they had more preparation for it, and it really shows. So we might still see the Zenyatta coming through at some point, but you still have the confidence that the team is going to be aggressive when they need to be.
So agree, but now as we look ahead towards our third map, and it is going to be, of course, Numbani coming online here. So, when you talk about those dive tanks, there's not a lot of hybrid maps that I like to see personally more than Numbani. So very excited to hear that that's going to be the next one in our rotation, as we can see it up there on the map board.
Yeah, so really, since we're in a 1-1 score right now, it just really depends on what we were talking about, how aggressive teams decide to be, and if there is going to be a mirror composition that we're going to see, then how and who's going to take advantage of it. For the Sombra plays, it hasn't seemed like that is a key factor usually for teams. You would expect that EMP to be so notorious over and over again, but it's been the Tracer, it's been the Pharah, it's been also the Reinhardt that we've seen, the Divas diving, that had really made it a big difference into this match.
Certainly have to agree. It seems like the biggest plays we can give credit to the Sombras for when they get those EMPs, but kind of outside of those ult fights, it seems like they're a little bit lackluster, and even then sometimes you have EMPs that just absolutely whiff or don't quite connect as they need to. I do like the way Oblivione is taking it, where they're kind of leaning away from that. They're going with, something you might not see as much, given, Sombra's kind of dominance we've seen as of lately. So overall, very refreshing, and I think Oblivione has found the secret for them at least.
And it's also because it puts a lot of pressure when if somebody tries to put the EMP. You need to either try to find where the Lucio is going to be, or just make sure that you're planning ahead, because you know that the moment that the Lucio has sound barrier and the Sombra from the other team has the EMP, the Lucio is going to try to sound barrier it before or actually after do you hear the EMP. So a lot of tracking that needs to be going on, and it puts once again a lot of risk into if you can get the EMP, if it can be effective, or if it's just not going to have any use.
Certainly, there's always that little checkerboard game that comes through. The Lucio doesn't want a sound barrier until the Sombra's EMP. The Sombra wants to EMP, ideally the Lucio, so he can't sound barrier. It's a very tough situation to be in. Both, I guess, characters kind of trying to play around one another. So overall, a little bit of mental chess going on there, but we'll see if that comes into any more effect here. We've seen Froki so far looking pretty competent on that Lucio, at least if Nepal is anything to talk about with the double boop kill that we saw earlier.
Yeah, especially, so we can see a lot of this Lucio that has really come up on top. And actually for VASTA, they were doing so good at some point when they were able to get that second point. They were playing that Sombra and that Lucio. Getting able to each get 2 kills at the end was what guaranteed that they were going to be going to another round. So just looking really good. They still have a lot of opportunities. Again, both teams have done an amazing job so far, but still just puts a lot of pressure into both of them to figure out why one map didn't work for them, why one map did work, what changes made it better, and what changes need to be made to even just make sure that you're guaranteeing the win here.
To agree, and this is where, kind of the good coaching takes a sidestep to the good player knowledge, right? You can have all the coaching you want, but when you're actually in that game, when you're having to make those calls on the fly, it's a little bit harder to interpret. It really goes up onto the player. I mean, granted, there are some things coaches can do, you know, oh, this team likes to run, you know, this style of composition, or they play Reaper in this method, a little bit more flanky than anti-dive, what have you. But overall, this is really where we start to see those players shine much more so than the organization's, I guess, headpieces.
Yeah, definitely. So, this is one of the challenges that we were mentioning, how certain teams just force certain composition that maybe their coaches told them to play, maybe what they saw that was working on scrims, but the ability to adapt and change when it's necessary, when you see that you're not winning and you maybe don't have that coach, that live coaching that's going to tell you, yeah, you need to swap to this, you need to make the decisions by yourself. This is why Oblivione has done so good so far in trials, because they always make the changes. They check for the other team, they figure out how they can play around them and how they can win.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right? We talk about, you know, the way metrics can kind of be implied in a lot of this. You know, team cohesion can be measured by, you know, people getting focused down by people at once. You know, team compositions, damage per second, all that stuff can be measured with numbers. But a lot of this is like, you know, how do you measure, you know, a team's competency in compositions or in, you know, stratting and counter-stratting? It's a little bit harder to measure, and I think that the only way we've been able to measure it so far, Oblivione just looking pretty good when it came to considerations.
Definitely, and now we're going to see if we will be able to see the adaptation changes again, once again, going into Numbani. So a few compositions that you're able to play here. Overall, I believe the tank line for both teams should stay around the same. And what really changes and depends on what everyone feels more comfortable with in the playstyle that you want to run is just a DPS lineup that changes a lot for both teams.
Certainly going to be very similar for that DPS for the supports so far. We do still have an opportunity to see what the tank line is going to be rolling out with, but based off of historic data, I don't think White Noise is actually going to be popping out with the Sigma.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that will be the case. I mean, it would definitely be a change, right? One of the things that we're mentioning, the change that we're expecting. So I don't think it'll be a Sigma, but for the defense that we already know, seeing Theomatic once again on the Reinhardt, I'm really surprised because last time he was forcing more of the Winston play and was doing a really, really good job at this. So seeing the Reinhardt that can also work, but puts a lot of pressure and not having that mobility that you would like to have.
We did see Lethal on that Doomfist just for a moment, using those cooldowns to really get ahead and get early eyes out, seeing what they might be able to suss out from the opposing team here. But now, going to be seeing them just try to get all saddled up, try to take this high ground. At least the majority of the team, we don't see them all here together. And Oblivione is going to be popping in, throwing out some damage, at least attempting to, but not finding too much, certainly not finding any kills as this fight not really hard engaged just yet. A little bit of Zarya, a little bit of Reaper peppering in, but Oblivione all get knocked off of that high ground. And now it will be the side of Vox who have that positioning, have the opportunity here to really move forward and get some damage done. But the swing's coming in big. A lot of damage going in on to the defenders. And Theomatic going to be taken down early on. The Coalescence coming out now. Vox trying to keep their team alive. Nat trying to keep the team of Vox alive as much as possible. But there's only so much a Moira can do. The damage not quite there to win the tides just yet. Oblivione do throw it, invest this grab a little bit late just to lock down Alex and NKZ.
Yeah, really interesting grab, but once again, the confidence they can see from Oblivione coming through there, and those Zarya is going to keep melting everyone. There's a lot of suckers that are going to be coming through as well, and they look so strong on that attack. I really like how they try to contest the high ground, make the rotation necessary, also Lethal at the end getting 2. So now you know that if you're in the side of Vox, you just need to back up.
Yeah, Vox not looking too strong on that defense right there as they get chased down. That's always a brutal spot, but we're going to be seeing them and get the regroup going. Alex keeping eyes out as a good Sombra usually does. Not the highest damage or highest impact player, but a lot of scouting can sometimes turn the tides here. As we see, Alex does have that EMP, so they're going to be looking to set it up perhaps as this cart rounds the corner, although they're seeing Lethal on this bus. They're going to be run face first into the rest of the Vox squad. Now Vox standing right on top of the bus, and things are looking a little bit better for them, although it is Alex dropping that EMP, getting 3 out. That's really going to help Vox get the advantage here in this situation if they didn't already have it. They're just going to be pretty much using that 1 EMP and so far holding a solid defense for it.
And this works really well for them because once they were getting the stagger by Oblivione, it seemed like they was going to give a lot of space for the car to keep moving, but they don't really allow this now. What's going to be really a risk for them is going to see the blizzard that's going to create a lot of space to ideally try to push into the second point.
We do see Cloud getting hacked early out, and it's going to be the investment of the Coalescence from both Moira's. Vendetta trying to drop the Death Blossom, but gets caught by the D.Va Matrix. A lot of ults being invested, the Earth Shatter, the Sound Barrier to respawn. It looks like Oblivione have the better end of that deal, however, as they invest the ults and get the progress, as opposed to Vox Nihili just invest.
Yep, exactly. So they just do so well right there, just brawling exactly what you want to run in this composition, just completely destroying the enemy team, using that shatter and getting value out of it, which we know that now is kind of a risk, and it seems like they're just going to give them the space. They have 4 minutes, 25 seconds, and a few ults coming for both sides. Once again, we haven't seen the blizzard, so you can expect it now.
Well, Thematic has that Earth Shatter, so definitely going to be on White Noise, see if they can get some big blocking going on. Bastola as well might be able to barrier it if they are quick on the reactions. The Death Blossom sounds like it's going to be dropped from Lethal. In fact, will be tucked right into the back of Thematic, who finds only 1 with their Earth Shatter. It's going to be the hack going out, and a big EMP from Alex lands on to 4. Only 1 taken down, though, with Lethal falling to the D.Va Bomb. As we look ahead, Oblivione putting 1 foot in front of the other, slowly moving themselves ahead, although they do have to take a little bit of a back up as this Coalescence comes out. White Noise and Bastola both kind of caught behind enemy lines. White Noise suffering for it, Bastola soon to follow.
And finally, they're able to take control of the situation, which is ideal for them right now. But so many also were invested into the fight that puts them in a lot of pressure coming through. You know that Bastola is going to have the graviton, and figuring out where to counter it, ideally you just want to eat it if you're the D.Va. But we know it's not as easy. You know that Asara is going to play around and make sure that the D.Va uses defense matrix before the graviton comes out.
Oblivione taking their opportunity. They see the side of Vox Nihili, but they're going to just opt out into a rotating link a long ways. As we see, now it's going to be Vox backing up just a bit, giving up a bit of space, perhaps get some better positioning, but that's going to be difficult as the Mei wall comes out, sectioning off a lot of the members. The healing tries to come through, but Vox brought to their knees, and with that, Bastola going to be dropping the grab right in the middle of them. It's going to be Vendetta on the Reaper trying to persuade anybody away, but not quite the case, as the Death Blossom does not find anything. Does eventually find the Reinhardt, however. Cloud quick to be chased down, and Vox Nihili so far looking like they have the opportunity to hold, especially given those quick respawns.
Yeah, they take control of it again, and everyone from the attacker side that was going to try to play a little bit more aggressive is now forced to back up. There's going to be a few extra seconds that they're going to be benefiting from. 2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining for them, so not looking too bad. But the ones that are going to be into the next advantage for the fight are definitely going to be the defenders.
Oblivione leading in, Blizzard in hand, Death Blossom in hand. We'll have to see if they can find any value with these ultimates. They do slowly start pushing the cart back to where it stopped, and the EMP comes out, but Cloud unfortunately had that cryoform. Nobody else as lucky, however. We're seeing the Coalescence now come out from Slay to try to recover this fight, although maybe a little late. They already suffered 1 loss, and now the Earth Shatter from Thematic helps to secure this fight even more. And the late Graviton Surge from Bastola. That'll be very questionable. A deep sink D.Va Bomb coming in from the back lines. NKZ finding just a little bit more space, mitigating that. Blizzard coming in from Mei. Cloud not finding the value they needed for it, and with this, again, huge defense coming in from Vox.
Yeah, a lot of ults once again were invested, but for both sides this time, so it really is a matter of who is able to get the next ones first, and it seems like it could be for the side of Oblivione, but they're not going to have the easiest time. Now this could be pretty much one last fight, and the series will come through.
Vendetta dropping the Death Blossom into the small ATM room. Doesn't seem to find a whole lot for it. Announces their presence to the rest of the server. Now, Coalescence is coming out from Slay, really trying to burn down, give their team some support as well. White Noise setting up for the Earth Shatter, needs to find it. Searching for it, perhaps going to sink under the cart. drops it, hits 3-4 actually. Because of that, Froki is going to be falling Oblivione now on the hot foot. Cloud continues to clean up. The grab into Death Blossom ensures that Oblivione have this all sealed away. As soon as the point is cleared, they're going to get that cart capped. 34 seconds left.
It seemed like it took them longer than it should have, more than 5 than they wanted to, because they were doing so good in that first and second point. But now just coming into the third, after they were starting to figure out the way to come through to get to the third, they play really aggressive, just getting so much value as well out of their Reaper, and especially because they knew that Vox had used that Blossom early on. So even if they were all close together, there wasn't that need to use any abilities to try to protect from that. And that allows them to have a few more seconds left, 34 seconds in the case this goes to another round, which definitely should.
We will see, as now it's going to be on the side of Vox to give it their all to go ahead and try their attack. As we look ahead, though, we are seeing the compositions come online and looks a little bit more of the same.
Yeah, and both teams, I feel like they should be feeling comfortable into what they played, because both of them had a really good performance. For the defenders, they held it for as long as they could, and only 34 seconds were left, so that's not looking too bad. And for the attackers, they definitely had a really good job, so not really need to change the composition so far. And it's just a lot of that mirror composition that gives more of who is going to be able to put more damage through.
Now, the gates are going to be opening up. The Rein Zarya coming out for the defense, Rein Diva for the offense. Seeing Vox Nihili try to push up, and already Cloud in the backlines trying to pepper in some SMG damage. We're finding about 12% on the ultimate before it. We do see Oblivione all lined up on this high ground. A big fire strike coming in from White Noise, going to be getting them half their ult charge. That's not small potatoes. As we lean in, Oblivione going to certainly be thinking that they have a little bit of an advantage here, given that big fire strike coming in. The healing resources going to slowly be drained. Now, it's Oblivione holding right on the point, giving that high ground over to Vox. That is a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, especially for the tanks of Oblivione, who now having to shoot and swing uphill. Not a spot they want to be in, but Vox finally going to be diving in and getting aggressive onto this fight. The personal barrier, projected barrier, being forced out from Vistola means that nobody else can be covered. As we see now, both teams try to just lean on these ultimates to really get these fights. The grab coming out from Vistola does help to lock in Theomatic, ensure that Coalescence deals its damage. As well, we're seeing White Noise swing for the fences like a pro baseball player. Now Oblivione going to be able to get some hold, but they gave up a bit of point progress.
Yeah, so the take that is lost, but in the meantime, they're not looking bad at all. A lot of ults they were able to build during that fight, and that should be benefiting them. I'd like to see how Vox was trying to get that high ground and how was able to get it, but unfortunately, they drop out of it way too early and weren't able to get as much value as they wanted from it. Now it seems like they're going to be having another approach here, and this could be a good opportunity for them to win, just that EMP early on as well.
Cloud in the backline comboing with the Earth Shatter. Froki does land the sound barrier, but it doesn't stop everybody from being knocked onto the ground. They're at 1 apiece for these teams. Lethal creeping up, certainly going to try to be getting behind the team and get that Death Blossom in if they feel it's needed, although with Vox already on the back foot, I think they're just going to let him back and do a soft reset.
And it seems like there was going to be a Death Blossom at the end to try to secure those kills, but Froki just got that boop into the Reaper and there was nothing they could do. They're still committing to the fight, 2 ticks.
Certainly are in point progress being built up for Vox. That's already 86% being given over. Lethal does rain from on high with the Hellfire shotgun. The Diva trying to remech, can't quite find it, and Lethal just taking their swings like a champion, but taking it to the grave as well. As we see Vox Nihili trying to struggle onto the last few members to hold this point. Theomatic not going to be long to get cleaned off, and 99% so far left for the side of Vox.
And that just looked way too close for comfort if you're on the defender's side. That was 99.1% of point before they were able to get that payload moving. And so many else that were invested for that reason. They wanted to commit, they wanted to make sure that both teams were winning. But now the biggest advantage will be, once again, they call this coming for Slay, trying to push everyone back and forcing them not to take the high ground.
Oblivione holding up here, but again, the Reinhardt drops down almost instantly. Thematic soon to follow, however, so it's a Rein versus Rein on the point. EMP goes out, lands onto 5, but it misses Kara. Kara able to drop this sound barrier, keep their team alive, as is Froki, so the grab goes out from Pistola, but actually gets eaten by NKZ. This might be the opportunity that Vox needed, but White Noise throwing in the Earth Shatter takes down their counterpart in Rein. No shield now for the side of Vox. Things are looking grim. 20 seconds left on the board. Next, Oblivione still holds first.
It should be able to hold it till the end. It seems like that EMP is going to come through on point for the last 10 seconds, and it's going to be really, really hard for the attackers to really do anything about it. So this is definitely where they need to get a pick early on if they want to have a chance.
We're gonna see if they can even touch that point. The body blocking already coming through, at least attempting to come through, but the touch is in. Cloud gonna be dropping the EMP, gets a 4th. Thematic taken down instantly. That Earth Shatter was one of the instrumental pieces needed here to win this fight. Now with Vendetta going down, the teeth have also been started to be pulled from the side of Vox. The Death Blossom coming in from the top ropes with Lethal. Does get the DMEC, and this is looking all said and done for the side of Oblivione. Their overtime is gonna tick down, and they're gonna be taking Numbani.
And they do it in the best way possible, just making sure that it's a hold completely before the payload even starts moving, where you know that holding second point on Numbani is not going to be easy, and third point that would put you in a risk because they didn't have as much time left. But if you're able to hold right at the beginning like Oblivione did, you're just happy with your performance. And now we're going with a slight advantage. This is definitely match point for Oblivione. Have all the opportunities to win. They're looking so much better than what we saw at the beginning.
Yeah, Oblivione gonna have that point advantage going into our next map, which, as we can see, or will be able to be seeing, will be Dorado here. So a little bit more of the Winston inclination coming forward, although I thought that would be the case for Numbani, and we saw a little bit of a slugfest from the Reinhardts.
Right, and it's just so surprising because Thematic before against other teams has done so well on the Winston, just always playing so aggressive, getting so much value every single time, and not seeing him play Winston but playing Reinhardt. Even though he's had a good performance, I believe the best opportunity that Vox has to try to make that comeback right now is definitely playing the Winston and the sort of dive brawly style that we see from them.
We'll see how things shake out as we head to Dorado for at least you and I's first time here this afternoon, Dryad. We're going to be looking ahead, and surprise, surprise, already we're seeing some Reaper Sombra out on the field.
And for some teams, it's just that Sombra doesn't really seem to be the best pick, but it's worrisome for them so far. Those EMPs that actually we saw at the end of Numbani were so strong, getting so much value every single time. They simply don't want to give it up just yet. For Lethal, we are going to see if it's going to be staying on the May. I don't think he'll be playing that May, but it's definitely a lot of damage that you want to put through right at the beginning, especially if you see how close the defenders want to hold.
We are definitely seeing Thematic get tucked into that first turn, making it to where everybody can just get right up in with the squad. Make sure that that card does not make too much progress, but already it looks like Vox Nihili a little bit on shaky legs, not quite sure if they want to push up, push ahead, and hold their ground. Instead, they're just kind of fluttering their views, making it to where Oblivione has the option to see them. I'm going to be giving Oblivione the opportunity to come out with a Rein Zarya of their own. NKZ going to be a little disadvantage here when you consider the Zarya charge not eaten by the D.Va Matrix. We now see the teams brawling it out onto point. Not a whole lot of breakthrough action coming in just yet, just swings and fire strikes. A little bit of peppering in. Cloud now in position. Gets the hack on the Thematic. That might actually be big. No more shielding going to be available for the side of Vox. It means that a lot of damage can come in for free. Certainly doesn't seem to lead to any kills once again, but this card has stalled out nicely for the side of Vox at this first corner, and now it's going to be Nat who receives the hack, but doesn't really matter as Vox Nihili starting to pull away with this victory. No shield available for the side of Oblivione due to the death, and the grab does come out from Pistola. It's going to lead a giant cluster of the opposing team of Vox into one big old clump, meaning that the kills are going to come through. And now Oblivione turned this fight on its head just a little bit.
But that's one of the risks that you take right at the beginning when you decide to hold this point so close. We are used to seeing just teams try to take the high ground, try to just poke some damage, and then drop down when the point passes the corner here. So now they're going to be creating a lot of space ideally, but still for the defenders to still have the opportunity to try to make that recontest, they need to make sure they're not getting picked early on.
It will be a little bit of a painful recontest as we see ahead Vox Nihili now having to push right up to Fountain to get any sort of contest on the cart. But NKZ going to be buying a little bit of space. The EMP Diva Bomb coming in, but the EMP from Alex a little bit more proficient as we can see the 5 members hacked up. It's going to help Vox Nihili here really lock down this point and secure that first. Seems like the forward strat worked.
It seems like it did now, but it just puts them in a risky situation now coming through. The Jefferson for Visala is going to be ready once again, as well as that Death Blossom. So if they're able to at least try to combine it or even use that coalescence going for them, this is a big opportunity for them to take point, and they still have more than enough time for that.
We're already seeing Slay lead in with the Coalescence. Lethal dropping the Death Blossom, doesn't find a whole lot with it. Thematic getting brought down amid Earthshatter. Don't think he caught anybody. Now Vistola has the opportunity, setting up, looking for that grab. Gonna be trying to buy their opportunity here, keeping eyes on that Diva. Throws it up high, yeah, but the sound barrier is there from Froki. Alex gonna be saved by it for the time being. Alex going in deep, throwing in the EMP, only catches white noise, but it looks like that's all the defense is going to need so far. Even to hack on the lethal just to make sure that Doomfist can't go anywhere.
And it was just a really ambitious play that we actually saw from the attacker's side on the Reaper that went into the backline and tried to Death Blossom. You know that defense matrix is going to be ready and is going to be used, so that's not going to be really good to get any value. And that just puts the timer down to less than 40 seconds for the attackers to try to get it. And it's just not ideal for Oblivione.
Oh, looking ahead. Oblivione still looking stuttered at this first point. They're going to back up just a few steps to regroup. The EMP comes out. NKZ, Thematic all taken down. Now Alex brought to their knees by the Earthshatter Vendetta. Try to rock something with this Death Blossom that might be in pocket. Drops it right into the middle. Although it is going to be the shield from White Noise preventing any of that damage from raining true for too long. Vendetta eventually going to be closed up. And now Vistola working with White Noise to cut down the opposition.
And they managed to get this point, which is ideally what they wanted, but so much time that was spent there that is just not looking as strong as we expected Oblivione to look right there. Now, you know the Vox is going to be taking the high ground here. They still are going to be playing this Reinhardt, so I still think it's a very interesting composition that they decide to play, just rather than the Winston that's able to jump into the backline and try to get those supports.
Certainly have to agree, high ground can be so dominant here on the side of Dorado, as we see now Vox going to be diving in, but they get caught by Vistola's grab. Luckily, Froki there to answer with the sound barrier. Now going to be pushing ahead. Vistola looking to try to get some positioning with those right clicks. Zarya trying to catch out the Sombra or maybe some supports. White Noise going to be leading in with a little bit of space that did buy. Tries to shield out from the Diva Bomb, but only can do so much as everybody now from Oblivione being kind of led here and there. White Noise finally going to be getting the confidence to lead in their shield. Very low though, they look at the other side. Thematic doesn't have nearly as much shield wear and tear. The Earth Shadow does come in from Thematic, able to take down two. It will be Cloud who is closed off the back end. Now Vox Nihili looking like they might be good for this defense as soon as they kill Vistola, but the Coalescence actually comes through from Slay. They're going to be investing the ultimates into this fight, and it seems to be paying off for them. Oblivione going to do a quick swing back, and with that quick cart move.
And just that late engagement that's going to help them out so much. The Coalescence being used so late into the fight. Ideally, we always mention how you want to use it as an engaging tool, but using it so late is just exactly what you needed. You have less than a minute to get into the second point, and Oblivione isn't looking as strong on the defense for Vox. You do have a big advantage here. You're going to be having that EMP for both sides coming through. So ideally, we're going to be seeing that EMP for both of sides coming through.
Alex does throw in the EMP, but Kara once again able to respond. That Lucio gonna be looking so proficient. The Death Blossom gets dropped by Vendetta, but gets killed during the animation. Oblivione are going to be looking to carry this cart through. Not too much issue here. Oh, they're going to do it with a very small time bank.
And this is going to push them into a lot of pressure into the last point, which is definitely not the easiest one to get. So in the meantime, they're going to try to push at least into the corner, which is ideal situation for them. But in the meantime, the defenders are ready to attack. They are playing really, really good, and they are making sure that the fights happen really close to the payload so that they take the advantage.
Cloud sees the entire team of Vox go into this hallway. A big EMP comes through. It's going to be 5 members down with the Earth Shatter. Things looking great for Oblivione, and they don't even really need to commit too much to this fight other than that Earth Shatter and EMP.
And they're finally looking in more control that we expected them to see after those first 2 points that they were trying to capture. But that fight, even though it happened really quickly, enabled for Vox to create a lot of ults that we're going to be seeing into definitely this last fight. You're going to be having this self-destruct as well to keep your mech alive to secure the Diva, and Theomatic also with the engagement that they're going to see.
Big hack on the Froakie means that no sound barrier could be there. Lethal gets a huge Death Blossom right at the spawn gates. Everybody gets locked down, and despite the odds from first point, Oblivione able to deliver.
And they just won every single fight until the last point. We were mentioning how it really wasn't the easiest one to get, but they do so really well, just playing forward and trying to get those picks early on was what benefited them. They actually have time left, which we didn't expect since all the other points pretty much went into overtime. Now the real challenge is going to be for Vox, how aggressive they decide to play, because you want to get more time than Oblivione did if you want to have a shot. And if you don't do this, you're definitely going to be losing this map, which is not ideal, knowing that Oblivione is in a 2-1 right now.
Yeah, Oblivione in a very good position. They finish that third point with, you know, a decent amount of time on the clock. Not the hugest amount, but certainly very good for what we've seen historically from Dorado. And now that does kind of put the onus onto Vox to have to cope with a strategy of their own to try to make a similar time. But hopefully for them, they're not going to have to deal with that aggressive first point hold to buy a lot of that time.
And it just doesn't seem like this is one of the strategies that Oblivione would play in the defense. He's trying to hold it so forward. It's just not ideal for them. It shouldn't actually be working out for them. So that's why they're going to be holding their high ground. I actually like this defense position so much more than what we saw from Vox, because even though it worked, it puts a lot of risk and pressure into your team.
It does apply a lot of risk, and sometimes for very little payout, and overall, we're going to be seeing a pause come through. But as I was saying, I agree with you. It is a very risky maneuver that I think Vox having a little bit of tough time capitalizing upon. It did work very well for them this time around, but you can't rely on it every time.
Yeah, definitely. So you're going to keep going with the game as well and just figuring out what teams decide to play. Actually, Cloud is going to be on the echo for the defense, so that brings definitely something new to the table to see how they're able to capitalize out of this hero.
Cloud, no surprise here. We saw them on Pharah quite a bit, looking to rain the skies once again, and we're already seeing the wraparound come through from a Vox. They want to take this high ground positioning, not allow it to go over to Oblivione without too much of a fight. And Oblivione, so far seeming like they're going to be happy to give it to them. This is a little bit questionable because they didn't even get to buy that time from the high ground. Not much damage got done. Ult charge is still looking very low from both sides. Now, Vox just continuing to walk this cart here. It's a very slow match for this push so far, Druid.
And they're actually forced into the back. They're going to play this very passive with the exception of Cloud, just trying to poke some damage as well. But in the meantime, they know they don't want to play it close because they're going to get killed. Also having this Ashe from Lethal is going to be really good, trying to get a few picks as well with the help of Kara.
Now, we are seeing Oblivione finally make contact with their opponents. Rather, Vox making contact with Oblivione, and so far Slay again on that Zenyatta, capitalized upon so early out of this fight before they can even get any backup. Vox gets a little bit of pressure put onto them, but Cart still making progress, and they've pushed back the defending team far enough to where they can't really have a second go at it. They have to keep going with broken manpower. Seems like that's exactly what Cloud and company are going to try to do. Lethal helping to equalize the field quite a bit by taking out both the DPS. That's certainly going to help Oblivione, and despite what I was saying, it looks like they're able to manage to stabilize.
Yeah, they were in so much trouble right at the beginning, but they were able to stabilize again. Lethal just doing a lot of work right there. Just creating so much damage as well, getting the picks early on into the team. Even though they had a number disadvantage where, you know, Slay was taken down and they had to use their res on White Noise, they were able to take control. And now the ones who are going to be in trouble are the attackers. They're trying to make those rotations. In the meantime, so much poke damage coming through for the Echo.
Now we see Bob on the field, or in the pocket of Lethal, ready to be activated and thrown onto the field. And Slay once again gets caught out, but this time Lethal there with the back up. The coach gun knocking the Winston back, and that's going to put Thematic in a very uncomfortable spot, that being a coffin. Now as we look ahead, the duplicate from Cloud going in as a Primal Rage. Winston trying to dive onto Lucio and the Tracer. Not going to be finding too much, but does push them back to a very uncomfortable degree, and Lethal cleaning up onto Alex with a couple of shots from the Rattlesnake rifle. As we look ahead though, Oblivione managing to burn a bit of time their own.
Not only that, but they have so many ults as well coming for them. They're going to be having that Transcendent as well because they need to use it. Ideally, just want to make sure you're keeping your team alive coming into the next fight, because also just Fox is struggling so much, just like we saw Exo doing. Less than 60 seconds left for them to try to capture this point, and unfortunately for them, it seems like Oblivione will be winning here.
Fox going to be looking to seek out Slay, and Slay having that Transcendence, not feeling too worried about getting caught out. Froki tries to match with a sound barrier of their own, but doesn't quite do its job to save Nat. Because of that, the Moira now going to be gone, not able to build up that Coalescence. Alex drops the EMP, but has to translocate out. The Primal Rage now coming out from Thematic, trying to cause a big disruption, but just gives a big ol' health pool over to the side of X. So far, looking very good for Oblivione, as they've managed to hold pretty successfully here. 20 seconds left on the clock, and that baby D.Va is going to be costly. But wait, it's going to be a Winston also throwing their body onto the point at the last second. 15 seconds now.
And this is going to be, there's one last fight trying to touch the point at least for Vox. They try to take the victory here, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. So much pressure for them, no many ults to use.
And it's only going to be the D.Va getting that last momentary touch. Immediately burns out, and now Vistola dropping their D.Va bomb over into the sky. Coalescence has to come out from now to try to make something happen. And Cloud throwing in the Lucio, trying to get a sound barrier just to buy a little bit more sustain. Does get it, throws it down right onto Bob. He's going to be using that Bob to some great degree here. White Noise trying to get some massive cleave damage with this Winston hiding in the bubble, hoping it doesn't break against NKZ's D.Va bomb. As we see, the EMP does come out, but it doesn't catch Slay. Slay able to keep that Transcendence up, and therefore the rest of their team, Oblivione, have managed to hold first point, and with that, they take the win on Dorado.
And when we were thinking that they weren't looking as strong for the attacker side, they just proved us completely wrong for the defense. They do so good from beginning to end, and it gives them the victory that we're expecting from Oblivione. We know it's a really strong team. They have won every single match that they have right now in trials, and it just proves the level that they're at. I absolutely love the pickups that they had. The DPS lineup just looks insane every single time. They have so many opportunities, so much flexibility, and it just enables a team to take the victory every single time.
That's absolutely right, and that is going to be the third point for Oblivione, so they're going to be taking the win here over Vox, and at least we got a little bit more of a competitive match here looking ahead, Dryad. I was a little bit worried coming off of our last match, but this one seemed to go a little bit more of the distance. Even on Dorado, it did feel like there were moments where particularly Vox kind of held their ground to a degree that I don't think the scoreline would represent.
Definitely, and it was just a matter of Oblivione having a really good performance and getting this early pace into the beginning of the fight, just thanks to all the tank line and also the support lineup that they have, just always making sure they're keeping themselves alive. Even though they were, I feel like, out of their comfort zone, not playing the Zenyatta as much, it just definitely would give them the win at the end. So they're definitely satisfied with their performance.
I definitely would be as well. However, we're going to be taking a quick little break while we get the interviews set up, or perhaps not even a break, as we are going to be having Kara from Oblivione come in to have a quick little interview with us. We're not going to be forgetting it this time, folks. We will be looking to get him in here shortly, however. Now, Dryad, as we look ahead, we are going to be, having some of the members from Oblivione pop in here, and I'm curious to see what kind of insight they can give us as to how their team performed here, particularly on the one map they lost, because sometimes that's kind of a good comparison as to where a team can see their improvements.
And that's one of the things that we always mention, how control at the beginning doesn't really represent how the scoreline is going to go throughout the rest of the maps. This was definitely one of the cases where Vox was doing really good, but it just wasn't enough, and that's why we have Oblivione take the victory today.
Certainly, and now we are going to be having Kara step in with us. Kara, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Kara. I'm the main support for Oblivione. Hello.
Well, welcome in to the Casters booth. Congratulations on your 3-1 win. Me and Drad were talking about it just a few seconds ago. We know it was the one map that you guys didn't necessarily come out victorious on, but we do want to talk about that control map. Kind of what happened there. What was the at least by you, perceived weak link?
Well, here in the hills, it's always a bit volatile, where if you mess up the first fight, you can get snowballed pretty fast. I think what mainly went wrong is that the composition we rolled out on Nepal's Shrine with the Pharah Mercy Zen wasn't very good enough. Like, we had some results with it earlier in the week, but at this point, I think we're ready to throw it in the trash. Like, we don't really like it anymore. And then Nepal's Sanctum, we had our priorities wrong. Like, we tried to brawl a bit too early, and then our target focus got split, and we lost first fight. And then a map like Nepal Sanctum, if you lose first fight in a Rhine mirror, is really hard to get back from.
Okay. Yeah, and this is one of the things that we were mentioning about how control maps at the beginning don't really just show the performance that teams are going to be having after. And I do want to ask you, last time that we were talking with your team, you were mentioning how you usually try to play a lot of Zenyatta composition because it benefits your players and you know how to play around it. But were you forced to swap out of that composition, play more of that Moira Lucio because of the way that Vox was playing at the beginning, or was it just strategy that your team was going to play a little bit of everything?
Yeah, well, sure, we like the compositions with Zen in the same way that we like compositions with Break if possible, just because we're really good players on it. But in the end, we're pretty flexible as a team, so the goal is just a counter swap. We're on attack, Volskaya, we scout dive, so we swap to Rhine. And then as the series progressed, we just started feeling comfortable on Rhine. So then instead of counter swapping, you just mirror, and that's why we swapped on the mirror on Dorado.
Fantastic. Now, as we look ahead, something I kind of like getting a feel for, because, Sombra a big deal kind of here in this meta, and that means that Lucio's kind of have to play in a very certain style. When it comes to Lucio play, as a support player, how do you kind of deal with the fact that, there's a Sombra creeping around, or how do you cope with that fact? Do you just hide and wait for the EMP, or do you try to know where the Sombra pathing generally is? What's your practice for that?
Well, these days, I think it's a lot about knowing where the Sombra is in the middle of the fight, and once you know that, you can get a little bit closer. Because if you just don't know where she is at all, then you'll have to hide pretty aggressively, and if you don't, you're just gonna get unlucky and hacked around the corner sometimes, because the hitboxes are a bit wonky. But if you know where the Sombra is, then you can start playing pretty close, where you can get 1 or 2 people in your aura, maybe more. You can and then you can actually do damage, and even if the EMP hits, then you can land a really fast beat. So I guess it's just about tracking where the Sombra is at all times, and if she disappears, then you gotta start hiding pretty actively.
Yeah, and then I do want to ask you one last question. So from Vox, they actually did have a good performance from what we saw. So who do you think was kind of the biggest challenge that your team had to face today?
That's a good question. Let's see. I guess it would be Alex, just because he did get some good EMPs off where I struggled personally to I got hacked sometimes when I shouldn't have, and I felt like he played fine. I didn't really see him feel besides that one time on the post line, but I think he played pretty good. But honestly, I didn't really pay that much attention to the individuals in Vox and Nihili, to be perfectly honest with you.
Certainly, it makes a little bit of sense there, but as we are just about ready to get things wrapped up here, we again want to congratulate you on your win 3-1 over Vox, and
Thank you.
Well, as a way of showing our appreciation, we want to give the opportunity to give any shout-outs that you feel are necessary.
Well, shout out to our general manager, Kev, who is generally just insane at being a manager. Makes a great team environment in any team. Creates great VODs, always edits them perfectly. Even syncs comes with us from the officials, so he will record our comms, and then later on he will go into the replays and we'll sync it up in editing software. So he's a great manager, and he doesn't get enough attention.
Fantastic. There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for popping in for an interview with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, Dryad, I do believe we are about ready to wrap things up here. So I'll go ahead and do the honors if you don't mind. With that being said, we want to thank you guys for tuning in here for Monkey Bubble Contenders Trials for the EU region. We hope to see you guys next time. For our casting team, I've been Sir Waltham with Dryad. Once again, fantastic as always. We hope to see you guys next time. But until then, stay safe out there, everybody.